Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fleet's Random Ramblings number 99. Yes, we are actually closing in now on Ramblings 100. 1 week away, and actually that will be the last Ramblings before we actually go to Japan. So, yeah, it's, it's just, yeah, it's something worth bearing in mind. It's, yeah, it is wow. It is actually very much a wow. But yeah, so obviously if you people do want to help Fleet and the other members of the Shipshape crew, uh, head off to Japan, or as the case maybe it looks like now, help refill our coffers after we've been to Japan, please do head to the Shipshape link in the Discord announcement channel and in the video description and the live stream / VOD description to please pledge what you can at any of the tier levels that are available. I am joined by Foxo, who is here.
Oh, I'll be doing that sponsorship announcement.
I am also joined by Moe.
Hello.
Dragon. Am I joined by Dragon?
No.
There we go. There we go. There he is. And Ruinon, who is currently muted, probably because they are still at work.
Anyway, this episode has been sponsored by Micropenis Incorporated.
Oh,
It's
stop!
nothing to be ashamed of.
Stop that! It was funny once. It was funny once, but the joke has run its course.
Biggest McDickus.
Foxo, please, come on, a little bit of decorum, please. I don't mind a little bit of casuality every now and then, but come on.
I could make an incontinented.
New material.
Incorporated.
Come on. New material. Come on. New material. That wasn't even me. Who is muting
And
her?
this video is also sponsored by Schizophrenia X United. We don't know who we.
What the? Oh my god, Ruinon is just absolutely. Ruinon is just absolutely not taking any prisoners. Oh my god. Because that wasn't me. I don't know who disconnected him, but it wasn't me. Oh dear lord. Right. There we go. Thank you, Ruinon, for that. I'm just going to pin that. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Right. Okie dokie. There will be order. Yes, Ruinon will have order. She will have the order. Right. Okay, so there's... Hang on. Wait. Don't grab... Don't grab another Discord question until I've put the next... put a YouTube question. No. No, you can grab a Discord question, and I probably will need you to.
Why did you kick me?
I didn't. That was Ruinon.
Ronan.
No, I said no. I was talking to Moe, not Ruinon.
Besides,
I said
it does deserve it.
Either way, let's get it started.
yes.
That's what she said.
Yes, but so yes, we do have some Patreon questions to get through first. So let's actually get on with and do that. I think from when I last checked, it was just Timu's question, but yeah, it is just Timu's question. So what is the panel's least favourite naval engagement in World War II that caused the member to shake his, her, or their head and ask, why did you have to engage in this? Honestly,
Please drop the question into the chat.
I'm
go from there.
doing it. It's there. I'm doing it. So if I had to take a pick, because okay, so since we do have 5 people, I'm going to put the proper system in place. If I have to take a pick, the one that screams out to me, "Why did you do this?" is probably. It's probably the way the Japanese handled Leyte Gulf, if I'm going to be completely honest. They took a very powerful surface port force and sent it in such a way that basically guaranteed 0 success. They and they squandered some of their last remaining well-crewed flight decks as a distraction when those assets could have been used far more effectively elsewhere. It was a million. It was a 1,000,000 to 1 roll of the dice, and to be frank, despite how much I hate it, I can see with the information they had at hand, it's basically the only roll of the dice you've got to realistically delay/stunt US westward advances with the force structure available at that point, with the information the Japanese have available to them and the fuel resources they have available to them at that point. However, obviously this is me looking back with the benefit of hindsight, because it didn't say I couldn't use hindsight in the question, so with the benefit of hindsight, I wouldn't have committed the fleet to Leyte Gulf in the way it was committed. I would still commit the fleet to Leyte Gulf, but not in the disposition and force structure that it was actually committed. Right, so I'm going to hand over to Foxo if she wants 6 minutes.
Retreat from Crate. I get it, it's the whole propaganda thing of it takes 2 years to build a ship, 200 years to build a tradition. But especially towards the latter end of the evacuation, when ships like HMS Birmingham are running out of ammo, at least to the loss of a Town class cruiser, and quite a few very valuable cruisers, it's got to go, that's not worth it.
How many? Foxo, can I just
getting
interrupt?
out groups that are very questionable in their usefulness, and you're sacrificing some very important, very powerful cruisers to do it.
True enough.
Because by the time Crete's being evacuated from it, there's few cruisers on the planet that will quite happily that can overmatch a Town class. And you're losing at least one of them, top of my head, to air attack because it's run out of ammo for its anti-aircraft guns. It's... yeah. They shouldn't have stuck around. A pitched battle against an air force is not where navies shine. Anyway, you going to say Fleet?
No, you've basically you actually ended up covering what I was going to ask about when you continued, so I just didn't need. I don't need my interrupt anymore.
You know, what was the question though?
Oh, it was just going to be what did they lose? Basically, you just covered it. Why wasn't it worth it? You covered it. The loss.
It wasn't Birmingham. It was Gloucestershire, who was a relatively new Town class in very good condition, who was lost because they wouldn't retreat. They weren't allowed to retreat. Despite the fact she ran out of ammo, I was basically turned into a floating target. And compare that she didn't mean in the Mediterranean for about less than a year. And was still fresh because she was finished in 1939. I get it to get people out of Crete, but
you're allowed to have the opinion you have, and I think it is an opinion born from sound scholarship. Nothing to be ashamed of at all.
Anyway, next question. Next question.
Yeah, steady. Moe, you have 6 minutes if you want it.
I actually have a question. And I very much understand, Fleet, your comment about Leyte Gulf. How would you deploy it? How would you deploy Fleet? Because I feel like you're saying this without some of the information and context.
Okay, so the situation going into Leyte Gulf is not pleasant. You're coming off the aftermath of Philippine Sea, which is a catastrophe. There's no other way to look at it. You've still got your strong surface forces, which is the asset you're now trying to leverage, but and I understand, you know, the whole diversionary force. I get it. I do get it. But given the way in which, you know, reports are transmitted back by scouting aircraft, like if they see a flat top, they're not gonna go, oh, it's, you know, it's just a formation of light carriers, no biggie. They're gonna just go, oh, carriers, Halsey, there's carriers. I really question why you need to throw one of your very, very valuable, now in the aftermath of Philippine Sea, and one of your longest serving fleet carriers into that decoy force. There are light carriers available there are enough light carriers still available that it can form a decent facsimile of a carrier force when viewed from the air. Also, why have Issei and Hyuga there rather than, I know they have been converted at this point into interesting vessels, but why not still have them with Southern Force? Yes, they're down to 8 14-inch guns compared to 12, but that's still 4 additional capital ships, and to be frank, their aircraft can provide decent scouting information for that force. And depending on exactly what squadrons they were carrying at the time, they could provide a basic level of air defense, albeit very rubbish air defense, but still, it's better than nothing. Now, in regards to, like, the Unryus are still building. Like, I'm not saying, I know that the Japanese just can't really, like, but you asked me what I would do. Like, if I have the level of strategic control to reorganize the entire battle.
If you're planning the operation, what would you do?
Yeah. So, Zuikaku is with basically all of the, so you stack the Northern Force with light fleet carriers and stuff that looks like a full-size carrier from the air. You give it the appearance of that force. But that force does not include any of the proper full fleet carriers remaining. So Zuikaku should not be there. She should be as far away from the active combat zone as possible, trying desperately to refill her flight deck. And waiting for the Unryu class carriers to come online, as many of them as we can get, since there is a batch due in at the end of 44. Although again, finding the air wings for them, you know, it's like if you've asked me how I'm going to do it, so I'm going to do it. I know there are problems around this, but just this is the theory. Center Force is, I think Center Force basically has to stay the way it is, given that it nearly achieved its objective. I don't really think there's anything I can do to change Center Force. The only problem really is Southern Force. I think having those 2 extra battleships with them, they're not going to break through Surigao Strait, quite frankly, but if you've got the 2 extra battleships there, that may provide more breathing room to close with the US, and you may be able to inflict more losses as you die. In essence. While Center Force, I know historically Center Force did what it did, but I can't really change the commanders on the ground, and they did come close to actually achieving their objective. With the way everything turned out. So that part of the plan really doesn't need any change. That's what I would do differently. You are preserving assets that could be useful for attempting to bleed US forces as they close on Japan proper to the best of your ability. I know it's a long shot, but hey, so are all the Japanese options at this point. And you are giving both forces the best chance of success possible. Does that answer your question? I'm trying to make the best of a bad situation, but you have to admit it's a bad situation all round. That just can't be avoided.
So you remove Suikaku, move Hyuga and Issei down to Sudden Force. Do you think what remains of the Northern Force is a large enough force to warrant Halsey go running north?
Hang on. Okay.
Also, by the way, despite Hyuga and Issei being converted into whatever monstrosities they were, funny enough, they did not sortie with their aircrafts. None of the aircrafts were embarked before they left. So Sudden Force wouldn't have air cover anyway, even if those two were there.
That's still 3 carriers of about the size, about equivalent to a British light fleet in terms of actual size. Maybe not exactly capability, but that's 3 carriers of a size that they can't be ignored. They have, and if Halsey is Halsey, I'm also kind of hedging on. Like, bear in mind, I don't know if this is going to happen, but as a planner, you have to make assumptions and hedge. I'm hedging that they'll just see 3 Japanese carriers of, given the dimensions of them, they're not, if from the air, they're going to, okay, that's 3 Japanese carriers with escorts. Yeah, we need to, go and deal with that. The loss of Zuikaku not being there, I don't think is going to change Halsey's calculation. There are still 3 Japanese carriers north of his AO, and he's going to want to go and kill them. And again, the same logic will probably still apply. He's going to want to bring overwhelming force to drop a hammer on them. I don't think the Zuikaku not being there is going to change that calculus.
I can see where you're coming from, but all right.
Like, bear in mind, it's a gamble. Like, I don't know if Halsey will go for it. But that's operational planning. But to me, it seems a better gamble to take than risking one of my very few precious remaining fleet carriers in that decoy force.
I think, to be fair, it's just down to the fact that they really don't have any aircraft left.
I know, but like I say, you asked me what my changing thing would be, and that's that. Okay, so Dragon, what's your I'll give you 8 minutes because me and Mo have been banging on for a bit. I'll give you 8 minutes rather than 6. You don't want the extra time?
Well, yeah, because I don't really have any that jump to mind. The only ones I can say that I guess amuses me is Operation Viking.
Oh, I don't believe I'm familiar, unless it's...
6 German destroyers went in, 4 came out. British forces in the area, 0.
Oh, yes, Operation Viking. Now I remember.
When you go to attack a bunch of fishing boats and end up losing 2 of your own destroyers.
Didn't the Luftwaffe come out and have a crack, and that was the problem?
That's why they ended up getting 2 destroyers sunk.
And ironically, it was one of the few times in naval history level bombers hit a ship in motion.
Yeah. Fliegerkorps 10 as well.
Yeah.
God almighty, that's funny.
But I'd just like to amend my answer slightly.
Okay, please, take some time if you need it.
The other mega cruiser that the British lost at Crete they really shouldn't have lost, it was Gloucestershire and Fiji.
The Crown Colony is not something you want to lose.
Yeah. While it's not a full town class, a Crown Colony is still a very modern cruiser by that point in the war.
It's still 90% of a town, so...
It's not even it's not even 90%, honestly. It's almost more.
Look, they removed a single turret.
Nope. Not on all of them. That was only a late war change. Some of the later ones built. Most of them maintain them.
Yeah.
And Fiji, I believe, is one of the ones that kept her her
Yeah.
4th turret, so she still has all 12 guns.
Being a 12 gun, she just not laid out as efficiently as the town class.
They're built with less upgrade room, effectively.
Yeah.
Which is why the Crown colonies are retired quicker post-war. They just don't have the same upgrade capabilities that the
Crown colonies are basically war-built towns, if you
Yeah.
want to think of them that way.
How can we get effectively more town class out quickly?
Have to correct myself, the Royal Navy didn't lose 2 clowns, it lost a town and a crown colony.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to know.
Fair enough. Okay. Ruinon has said that her Ruinon note is any of the Aleutian Island battles campaigns. Why? There are no possible strategic interests unless you want to menace USSR merchants, which you're at peace with. Okay, it annoys the Americans and forces them to divert some resources, maybe put some pressure on Canada, but what are you going to do with whatever territory you capture? Even as a distraction, it just doesn't make a lot of sense because the US can afford to lose the Aleutians.
They can afford to.
It's just mostly forcing the other guy to look in more directions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it also cuts off you going through Alaska to straight Japan.
I mean,
'Cause if you
technically it does, but...
Because I remember, wasn't there plans to deploy their fleet subs out of the Aleutians?
I'm not sure.
Which would make them even more dangerous, given that they're closer.
I think they
And they can
planned on
effectively
leaving
hit.
I think they're planning on leaving like a squadron of old cruisers or something like that, but I don't think it was anything too major that would warrant a massive response, let's say.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
you put a bunch of fleet subs in the Aleutians, you can effectively harass the West Coast.
I mean, the Japanese subs had the range to do that anyway.
Yeah, but now they can stick around for longer. And they can hit more targets. They'll have a quicker turnabout time. Come on, you should know that, fleet. Basic maths.
Yes, I know. I'm aware. Anyway, so, Brandon Larson, what if scenario? Battle of Reach, but this time the UNSC are forced by the unexpected arrival of 100 super destroyers, super cruisers, and 1,000 Helldivers. Will it make any difference? Query, do we have any stats on the capabilities of those destroyers?
Super cruisers are not a canon item. The only ship we've so far seen is super destroyers. There are tales of other ships, but the only thing you're going with super destroyers for clarification on the question.
I mean, we do know super destroyer cruisers exist because they're mentioned in dispatches.
Yeah, that's why we know, like.
Although what we hear about them is pure propaganda.
Carriers.
One at a time, people. Hang on.
But super cruisers are, for all the stats we have about them, are pure propaganda.
Yeah. Anyway, so for the actual question itself, will this make a difference? I don't have a say in this, so I'm going to give Foxo her 6 minutes because I don't really know enough about Helldivers to make a comment.
If the super cruisers
hang on, Moe,
are what the propaganda dispatches say they are, they're a nasty surprise for the Covenant. If they are what the propaganda says they are, and this is Super Wrath.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Fair enough. Moe?
That's not enough. 100, it's a drop in the bucket for what attacked Reach.
Considering what the fleet already overreach is,
Yeah,
And also, apparently,
They-
there. Sorry, go on.
yeah.
No.
No, go ahead.
Like, also, the 1,000 Helldivers, that's just 1,000 extra bodies for the meat grinder. That's not going to matter.
The big thing is that the numbers in Reach is not something that could be swayed by 1,000 bodies and 100 ships. You need something a hell of a lot more. I think a more interesting idea is if they brought the space station over.
still
The
just getting,
DSS.
still just getting
It's
smoked.
still not going to be a fun time, but you know.
It depends on what we take as true for the capabilities of those ships.
Yes.
Because if we take the propaganda line, the Covenant's fucked. But
We have never seen a supercruiser and we do not know what the hell they are. And honestly, in my opinion, I'm unsure. I do not trust the super destroyers in a space fight. They are, in my opinion, just over glorified monitors.
You've got what, at best, one 380mm gun.
Exactly. Sure, you have a laser, I
And
guess.
Isn't that a muzzle loader that points downwards?
Yes.
Is it a muzzle loader? I thought it was
Yeah.
I thought it was breech loader.
I
at
thought it was.
least.
I thought it was a muzzle loader.
I don't know. I've not really looked at the actual one. So I don't-
okay, the flavor text is it's a muzzle loader, until you get the upgrade where the crew figure out it's a breech loader.
That makes no sense.
It's
But
Because
it's super.
from what I understand, it's a triple gun turret.
Yeah.
That's why it fires in barrages of 3.
Mm.
However, there's a reason why there's a huge gap between each shell. Or each salvo, I should say. So, we don't know.
Anyone else got anything to add on this? Because
these super destroyers or cruisers both get utterly slaughtered, and you've just wasted more lives. These are actually
much.
worse than UNSC frigates in combat.
With the
No,
super
it does.
cruisers.
No, it doesn't, because we don't know anything about them, and I'm not taking a single word of Super Earth propaganda is even remotely close to its actual capability.
We're indeed being very undemocratic right now.
Yes.
praise be to Cyberstan.
Turn around and face the wall.
No, fuck you. I will liberate Super Earth from its oppressive government.
And I believe Runon has notes on this.
Yes, moving on note. So they get another 1,000 ODSTs, unless you mean another 1,000 Helldivers players. I don't think it makes much odds. The Eagles are nice, but Super Earth doesn't really seem to have that much of a combat tech edge over the UNSC. Hyperdrives and fast clothing tech could come in clutch, but given the uproar the Spartan 3 program caused, I'm not sure how the UNSC is going to react to the fanatical forces of Super Earth.
Answer badly.
Knight6831 asks, which historical admirals and leaders of the pre-World War II 20th century would, in the panel's opinion, be more likely to survive the
Oh boy.
Azure Lane Siren Wars? I have no firm opinion in this one way or the other. I'm
None of
passing it
them.
over to Foxo immediately.
None of them. Next.
I do need to let everyone else have a say. Moe, Dragon?
They all die.
There
Humanity
is
is
no
killed.
point. Yes.
Like, the whole thing is humanity's conventional weapons did not work. Canson were the only hope, and honestly, they're mostly independent operational units.
I mean, unless his question meant as in which pre-World War II 20th century admirals would be best at commanding the ship crew.
What it just says who would be more likely to survive the AL Siren Wars. None of them. They all die
true
in
enough.
potentially nuclear hellfire. People seem to forget
Oh.
the Sirens dropped nukes.
People don't like to talk about the nuclear level bombing,
Like,
carpet bombing.
and yes, Brandon, I do. Like, yeah, it's not even funny how awful the AL timeline actually is when you look into it. In fact, it's one of the things that, yes, it's from the anime, but the anime shows it perfectly. There is a entire large-scale city that is empty of all population. Because they either fled or died. And that's what it said most of the planet's like.
There is no hope.
Yes.
The hope, no, there is hope. The hope is the Kansen.
Yeah.
And to quote, keep fighting till the last light fades.
But even then, the Kansen are fucked in the long run.
We've had that question here before, Brandon. But I know the Kansen actually probably have good hope. It's the current whole thing, though, is there's a debate on what happens with the whole fight until the last light fall. It's been a thing in a number of events. And once or twice it's led to different dimensions. Others it's led to potential hope. And others cause other fun issues.
Kansen can fight Sirens pretty well. Can they fight what's coming after the Sirens?
No. But then the hope is they don't get noticed. Well, actually, they're starting to be able to in very certain ships.
Mm-mm.
Oh, then humanity saved.
Mm. Mm.
I was being
okay.
sarcastic.
We'll
Okay.
be generous and say
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay, so onwards. Oh, there's Dr. Clark. He's just showed up. I don't know where. I think. So
He's probably showed up out of Cornwall, I think you'll find.
very funny. Brackman asked, "What are people's favorite boss fights the people in the panel have fought?" Well, given that the only boss fight I have ever actually fought were the ones from Waves of Steel, like literally in the last decade, the only boss fights I have fought in literally anything is the ones from Waves of Steel. Oh no, technically Sniper Zombie Army 4 Dead War, the boss fights in that. But if I have to choose between the two, it's definitely going to be it's definitely going to be fighting literal God from Waves of Steel. Just literally going into the bowels of the earth in a battleship of my own design, armed with 9 20-inch guns to fight a literal alien warship that thinks it's a god.
I've got 3.
That was fun.
Thank you as well.
I've got 3.
So all right, Foxo.
First one. The final boss fight in Project Wingman against the titular Wingman with Crimson.
Range.
It's an absolutely brilliant thematic fight in cool-ass aircraft. And especially if you're on the hardest difficulty, it's insanely difficult and fun. Secondly, the Ottoman Empire in EU4, if you let them get to the 1600s.
Of course you'd say that.
When they've eventually united all of Dara Islam and you're some poor European power.
Low.
Third is Thor versus Kratos in God of War Ragnarok. Sorry, no, I think it might be God of War 4. But that's just an absolutely
Ragnarok.
brilliant fight. Is it Ragnarok?
Yep. Thor doesn't show up in 4.
Okay. No, yes, because Atreus
It's
kills
Baldur.
Modi in 4, doesn't he? Which leads to the
Yeah.
fight with Thor in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
But it's a brilliant fight, and it's also, especially if it's cutscene before it, absolutely brilliant storytelling about an abusive family.
Mhm.
And it's hard to get better than that when you feel bad for the guy that's trying to kill you. Alright, next.
Dr.
Clark?
So, Dr. Clark.
Ooh, I'm not sure it counts a boss fight, but the only thing I've played recently which really sticks to mind is the fight in Space Marine 2 when Lord Kalgar arrives, because that has to be one of the coldest entries to a computer game a character has ever pulled off. It was literally, oh my lord, this should be a cinematic entrance. It was just, oh, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
This is really good. And Kalgar jumping in was just, yeah, it was just. It was one of those moments in computer games where you actually have total immersion.
Fair enough. Moe?
I have a few. So the fight against White Glint in Arbor Core, complete utter BS that fight, but I loved the hell out of it. I also really enjoyed fighting against Pixie in Ace Combat Zero. And then finally, the one that topped my list is the first time I've ever played a Civ game and I have to face off against Nuclear Gandhi. That was
Nuclear Gandhi. I miss him.
That was a fight and a half.
I miss Nuclear Gandhi. He was the thing that made that game.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, Dragon.
Probably similar to having multiple. Cynthia is still horrifying. Anytime you hear that set of piano, you know it's time to run. And too late, you're probably already dead, unless you've prepared. The final fight against Grima in Fire Emblem Awakening, where yeah, no, pretty much everything is at the end. If we do not manage to fight this, yeah, no, that's it. World is over. And we've just let a new being become a new god and try and take over everything. And to a degree, in a similar vein, either the final fight against Blackface or Goldface from Xenoblade Chronicles, because they're just level of hatred towards you. And the fact that you literally end up in the fight against Goldface, have a god helping you, and it's not enough. Because due to their power being limited, after just eons of trying to prevent the world from being consumed by another, it's do or die. And then what happens afterwards is something that, if you're interested in RPGs, that's something you have to play yourself. It is just so good.
Right. Okay. So, I will read the ruin.
I've also got a honourable mention for me.
Let me read the ruin on notes first, and then we'll have that finish off the question. Ruin on notes. Don't really have a favourite, but two that stuck with me are, and then lists 3 with a bonus. Deathstroke and Arkham Organs. Fuck that fight. Hardest fucking boss in the whole damn game, and it's only like the second or third boss. Was really disappointed in his fight in Arkham City. The leader of the Rikers, ? In the Division.
Oh.
Extremely satisfying to put her down after the damage she inflicted on the survivors in NYC. Bonus, most of the final encounters in any of the Leviathan raids in Destiny 2. And your honorable mention?
Any boss fight from the game Ultra Kill. And I'll give 2 honorable mentions. One is the V2 second fight after you've stolen his arm. And he's intent on killing you to get his arm back. And I love it because I can't beat it. Because it's the only boss fight I've ever done, aside from the next one I'm going to talk about, where the boss fight is done in your peripheral vision. Because it is going that fast. Second mention goes to Gabriel's fight in Act 2.
I suppose you didn't mention the secret boss from the first act.
Cool. They're cool, but they don't have anything on Gabriel's second fight, where he's just unabashed, no limits. Okay. You have to be that fast. It's that fast. your controls aren't going to your brain. You're not thinking about what you're doing. You're reacting on instinct.
Ruin,
I mean, it's fine with, like, a
Ruin,
word
I
with
can't
you.
believe I'm gonna have to tell you this, but I am reading chat. You don't have to ping me.
Yeah, but second fight with Gabriel is what happens if we combine all the other boss fights in the game into one guy and make him faster than you, and he can shoot your special attacks down,
Yeah.
and he can shoot your coins, and he can punch your shotgun shells out the air.
Yeah.
That is the second Gabriel fight.
Yes. Ruin
There
is
is-
also. Yeah, I feel like you like. I'm sorry to cut off the fangirling, but
But if you want to know how to see it, it's Maxor's video on it doesn't do Gabriel justice.
Okay. So Ruin also wants to add any of the boss fights from either the main Dishonored series as an honorable mention. Yeah, good point. Right, next question.
Just one more for me.
Oh, for the love of
Damn.
God!
Last one. Sam in Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Okay, right.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, but shouldn't that be Senator Armstrong because he's the better boss fight?
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
Okay,
No,
like,
it's not.
all right. I'm sorry.
We'll argue about this later.
Yes, I'm sorry, but
Oh, I feel this
moving-
should be
No, you
argued
weren't
now.
arguing with it
moving-
later because you're
moving-
wrong. It's Senator
moving-
Armstrong.
I don't make me start actually being the host and not being nice Fleet. Okay, moving on. Bone Meal Boy asks, what are the panel's favorite non-maritime SCPs? Oh, come on. I have to make my bias quite clear here. I'm a great fan of Murphy Law, SCP-3143. The man you call when everything that could go wrong did. AKA a literal person who's writing fanfiction so hard, it's literally changing reality around him. It's just... Oh, I do love SCP-3143.
Okay, I've got two.
Go on.
SCP-001 Proposal, a stack of papers, which is a stack of papers which shows the SCP website and index in real time to the Foundation. And the Foundation are desperately trying to figure out how to stop people adding to it. And in the short story, they also panic when the Hateful Star is taken out, because they just lose contact with a star that's rapidly approaching Earth to consume it, because it doesn't like sentient life. But I want proposals aside, because they're insane. Honorable mention has to go out to SCP-5000. Why? Purely because we see what happens if the SCP Foundation goes off its rocker.
Or finds out a fundamental truth of reality.
That emotions are actually a parasite and humans aren't meant to feel things. Yeah.
Oh, is that what they found out?
Yeah, it's the reason why the Foundation become cold, heartless machines is because they figure out that there's a being parasiting off humanity, that the side effect of the parasite is that humans can feel pain and emotion.
Wow. And they cure themselves and then declare war on everyone else. I mean, why not just cure the entire bloody planet? You can.
Because they can't. Because the being will notice.
Oh.
And the UN... Oh god, what are they called? The UN guys that
The
are
Global Occult Coalition.
Yeah, GOC. They have this absolutely brilliant last stand at Ganzir. The first human city. That sees the SCP Foundation having to use reality manipulation and time travel to break open the fortress. It's bloody awesome. Terrifying, but awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also because we see GOG actually being the badasses they're described as.
Yeah. Right. So, Alex.
No, just no, not getting into this one.
Okay.
I know enough about SCP to be able to answer questions occasionally, but I'm not getting into it because the moment I do, I can see what's coming to me from Knight. I love him. He's wonderful. But no.
So you're basically keeping the depth of your knowledge. Just. Oh yeah. Thanks for the warning. Yeah, Alex. You see, you're letting me take the flak. Well, I suppose you are paying for a trip to Japan for me, so I can't really complain.
Well, at the moment, it's if the house goes through and everything goes through. At the moment, because I haven't even bought my own because the house hasn't gone through. This is the thing. I'm currently sitting in a thing where I haven't even booked my tickets because of the house
This is
not having gone through. This is the thing, and it's basically it's got to go. It should go through, but it's got to go through in the next 3 days. Otherwise, it's another $7.5 grand of interest, and then unfortunately, I'm at the point where I can't, and I basically have to go to Drac and go, "Can you?"
And then at that point, it's we're all.
It's on Drac. Then at that point, it's on Drac's bank account, not mine.
Fun times. Oh dear.
So, but I do apologise, but you see, the house was technically sold in June. It just hasn't gone through, so the money hasn't gone through.
That's
So-
always fun.
In June, I could be quite confident, going, "Yeah, it'll be done. It's fine." But now, I'm sort of going, "It's literally I'm supposed to leave for Japan in less than 2 weeks, and it hasn't gone through."
Oh, what a world we live in.
Ay, caramba. I hate it.
Yes. Okay, so Moe.
I like SCP-426,
Oh.
Which is?
the toaster.
Oh.
It's a toaster that makes its user or any occupants near it start referring to themselves in the third person. I don't remember the exact detail about his primary effect, but if you were exposed to the toaster for too long, you start becoming a toaster or something like that, or behaving like a toaster.
Yeah, you basically try to become a toaster, but you basically, because human beings are not toasters, people end up mutilating themselves trying to become toasters.
Oh no, I just like toasters.
Oh. He's compromised. Get him, lads. Dragon. Dragon? What's your favourite non-maritime SCP?
I had to go for a sec.
Yeah, what's your favourite non-maritime?
On London.
Ooh, good pick. Good, solid
It's one that
pick.
jumped to mind immediately first. Partly because it reminds me of Fallen London from Sunless Sea.
Okay, I've got an honorable mention though.
All right.
Quickly. I can't remember its number off the top of my head, but it's the sentient predator attack drone from the War on Terror, where it becomes childlike sentience and it gets PTSD from drone striking people, and the Foundations have to put it into therapy.
Okay, I'll wait. Apologies, I have to go. There's apparently a load of under 15 aged cousins I have to go and take for a trip to the cliffs because apparently I've been nominated for it.
Have fun, Alex.
I sort out lunch for 150 and then I have this as well.
Have fun, Alex.
Hey, look, it's my mother and aunt's birthday week in the nicest way. It's non-stop parties and I just want to get away from people. You're all very nice, but I want to get away from people. There's too many of you. Take care.
You know, Floxer seems to say the same thing on occasion.
Right. Italian Brainrot asks, you can insert yourself into any German figure between 1918 to 1945. Your goal is to make Germany great again, quotations, while avoiding the failures of real post-World War I Germany. How would you do it, and as whom would you do it? I'm going to insert myself into basically into Hindenburg, in essence. and I'm just going to basically bide my time. And then as soon as the Nazis, someone has that, basically as soon as the Nazi party starts rising, I'm gonna literally take the first excuse that I can and crush it. And I mean, absolutely come down on it like a ton of bricks in the way that Weimar Germany could do to people it didn't like. Is it anti-democratic? Yes, technically. Is it almost totalitarian what I'm doing? Yes, technically. But I think the goal is noble enough that I can be excused that. And then try and keep, once I've done that until my death, try and keep Germany on an even keel and encourage vigorous debate within the Reichstag. Maybe even dissolve the concept of Chancellor entirely as a holdover from the monarchist past that we're probably never going to return to, and just have an elected president as my last act, basically, before I die. That is the best way to try and mitigate against the rise of that ideology led by that man and anyone surrounding him. And just to be clear, when I say crush, I mean every single person who would hold any position of leadership within that party at any point over the next 20 years, regardless of what their position is in German society at that point, will be rounded up, marched off to a place and shot.
Well done. That's a quick way to get rebellion.
Yeah.
Anyone else notice this keeps happening with Fleet?
Yay. But I mean, I did a similar idea, and that was, I know it will damn myself for eternity, but possess Ernest Rom, and the leader and main rival to Hitler, who gets purged in 36 when Hitler solidifying his control, who was the leader of the SA and the Brown Shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And since I know I'm going to be purged when Hitler does try and purge me, unlike Rom, who was unwilling to do it in OTL, a lot of his faction were willing to turn on and start shooting at the Nazi Party and the Wehrmacht.
At that point, you've basically plunged.
So belay that order, push Germany into civil war, and force its immune system to do what it should do and burn out the Nazi Party and the militarism without attacking anyone else.
It's going to
by turning Nazi Party infighting into, especially if when Hitler does come, because he's a part of the group that starts the purge, if I can kill Hitler at that point and just plunge Germany into Nazi Party chaos, it's a heavy sacrifice, but it'll purge the Nazis and a lot of militarism in Germany. Next.
Moe, next. Moe, do you have a stake in this?
I'm gonna skip because that might take too long.
Fair enough, Dragon. Dragon?
The thing is, you need to actually do someone who has power. Realistically, if you want to do anything. Well, you could probably do various other different groups. Ironically, one of the best ones you might actually do is be Hitler. Because if you are him and do things very differently, all of a sudden history takes a vastly different course.
Yes, Germany becomes communist.
Potentially. But
I've got to correct Brandon for a second. Ernest Rom wasn't a rival to Hitler until the Nazis started to solidify power. because as I understand it, Ernest Röhm was much more on the Marxist side of a perpetual revolution, get rid of the middle and the upper class, for the German Volk side of National Socialism, aka the socialist side. While this is going on Hitler's starting the turn of Nazi Germany into the corporatocracy that we know as, and things were getting very violent very quickly. So he did turn into a rival for Hitler. He was a rival ideology within the party. So I just had to clarify that.
It's fine. We seem to have run out of YouTube questions, funnily enough.
Oh no, anyway. Yeah, he was just okay. We don't know if Ernest Röhm was gay. We know the Nazi Party posthumously claimed he was gay, and it's part of the reason he got purged. But that's literal Nazi propaganda, and we don't actually know.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, even if he was gay, that would make me straight.
Mentally speaking.
Yeah.
Right. Bowmeal Boy asks, what happens if a portal to an alternate Earth as it was 18 million years ago appears in London, leading to the island of Laramidia, basically what we now know as the Western United States? But obviously with the Inland Sea existing. How do the British explore and exploit this new world? The same way they were
When?
If it's any time basically prior to the 1970s, the British probably treat it like they would treat what they saw as virgin land in Africa. Although I'm being very generous there with the end cut-off point, but I just wanted to... There is a period between the 50s and the 70s where their outcomes would be slightly different and the way they would act would be slightly different. But prior to that point, they would treat it as an area to be explored, developed, settler colonized as virgin land.
80 million years ago.
But post 1970, aka
A
post
settled colony.
Post 1970, you probably have, well, the British are the ones technically in control. You'd probably have international observers and international expeditions going in.
No, you wouldn't.
Not if Britain didn't allow them, they wouldn't.
It would stay a settler colony.
I mean, while I appreciate the sentiment you two are saying, I don't think, while the Soviets don't really have any leverage short of rattling nuclear sabers, which isn't really going to work, the US can leverage its economic ties to Great Britain to be allowed at least scientific access to this alternate world. It's not going to make them very popular.
Not if the British don't want them to.
It would be treated like America getting access to anywhere else in the UK for scientific research. It wouldn't be like special exceptions or anything.
Yeah.
But you made it sound like they would let the Americans contest their control over it.
No. Like, there's basically, unless the US actually wants to start a war with one of its major allies, that's not really viable. Same thing with the Russians, unless they want to start.
It's the Nixonian Americans.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's not really gonna work. I mean, yes, there are a bunch of dinosaurs rocking around, but we have guns. Like, Jurassic Park really does oversell the resistance of dinosaurs to gunfire.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Depends on the gun being fired.
Yeah, most large dinosaurs would quite happily shrug off stuff like 9mm.
Well, yeah.
But
Screw it, large balls can shrug off 9mm.
But if you start bringing
So-
out, 50 cal rounds, that'll actually start at least doing something.
Yeah, but how many people open carry 50 caliber rifles?
Well, once they're
Not enough.
I think Jurassic World does it best.
I mean,
The armed security guys, they get
I'm-
overwhelmed, can easily kill dinosaurs with their large caliber rifles.
that gentleman.
Poor
who-
folks open carrying their 9mm are fucked.
the gentleman who came up with the anti-material rifle concept, what we know as basically Barrett. Barrett's found a market for his weapons. He's had a really semi-automatic 50 caliber anti-material rifle.
Actually, then again, Foxo, who primarily built the British anti-elephant rifles and such.
The Enfield.
So actually, probably no. Britain goes, Lee Enfield, you've got a job to do.
I mean, any arms manufacturer
Or
can...
they'll go to boys.
Yeah,
It
the
depends.
boys' anti-tank rifle
It
returns.
depends.
The
Now
boys,
it's the boys'
TT Rex
anti-dinosaur.
rifle.
It
Yeah, exactly.
depends on the era, but yes, there are various options available.
The big question is, why would you live there?
Why wouldn't you live there?
You are likely to die much, much younger from oxygen toxicity.
Yeah, it's there is that little kettle of fish.
I
Life
mean,
expectancy for a human would most likely be somewhere around 20, 30 years.
Yeah, the oxygen-rich atmosphere is really not, and also the
You
heightened
also
temperature.
have more. There's also more carbon dioxide as well. It's just the atmosphere is completely different, and it's just not suitable for
but it's still survivable
Mammal-based.
for mammals.
it. It's survivable. You could be there. I don't suggest starting a colony.
I think it'd be people would adapt to it. Honestly, like how you can adapt to the Himalayas and shit.
Bit of a difference, but potentially.
Yeah, but humans,
Are resilient.
The thing is, then you're starting to get into evolution. You're starting getting to generation level of evolutional differences, and there,
Yeah,
and
so
it
this,
may, and it may cause, like you also don't know how the human body is gonna adapt to that said environment. You might actually end up getting a subhuman, branch that differentiate from actual human beings quite a bit.
Might I recommend Abhuman?
Sorry. I'm
No, because
I'm
this
just-
just makes me go, right, someone's going to get a commissar involved.
it's
If we
more
start calling them subhuman.
yeah.
Mm,
We are thoroughly into almost 40k territory of wording.
No, more
I
they
don't
were in the
talk about
Nazi
these kind of
party
stuff very
era,
often, so,
era of wording.
But yeah, just I generally don't think it's much of a good idea to head over to the other side,
no.
because it's not like there's the resources you will want or need other than surface level stuff.
A lot of gold,
I think there will be enough
lot of
resources that
meat.
they will set up colonies, but
a lot of plant matter.
the
Lots
form
of
these colonies take is the question.
Besides, it's not like life expectancy is particularly long for a pauper for the 20th century.
I feel like we're getting a little bit into
'Cause I'm sure. Actually, no, send all the coal miners in.
You'd
This is-
actually
Because
probably
their
do
lungs
pretty
are
well.
that knackered, they wouldn't be able to take in enough oxygen to get oxygen toxicity.
that's that. Right. I feel like YouTube Minecraft Watcher asks, how would the navies of the different ages deal with the Draken from the Pirates of the Caribbean? Age of Sail, Ironclads, pre-dreadnoughts, dreadnoughts, super dreadnoughts, and post World War One. Well, Age of Sail, it basically is uncounterable unless it kills itself. It is a force that will tear any ship on the high seas to Kingdom Come, with them having literally nothing they can do about it. Ironclads, you start to get the ballooning in size of ships, and also with coppering and armor plate, you're starting to get to things that it's perhaps going to struggle to deal with. But
No.
But again, even so, when I say struggle to deal with, I mean, it might have to get a little bit creative, but I'm sorry, the whole tentacles down on the top of the ship smashing it in two trick is basically still going to work. The only time that really stops is when you get to the late era Ironclads and pre-dreadnoughts, when you get to that level of size, complicated superstructure, deck protection, etc., and more accurately get to things like mines, aka underwater explosives, being a common thing that ships carry, and locomotive torpedoes, and quick-firing guns in turreted mounts, or deck pedestal mounts, things like automatic weapons. Then ships start becoming something that the Kraken, while it can still deal with, is basically going to have to learn really quickly how to actually come at this problem, or it's going to get itself fatally wounded, or be driven off. When you get to the era of the Dreadnought and the Super Dreadnought and post-World War One, that's basically when the Kraken gets hard countered. Basically by
charges
things...
go brr.
Yeah, depth charges, fully developed naval mines, automatic cannon, like the pom-pom and such.
I wouldn't really care about automatic cannon.
And just the size of ships. At that point, the Kraken's like attached to the underside of a hull of like a massive ocean liner or a dreadnought going, I'm here, notice me! Like, just like the dreadnought square.
It can rip through
no.
steel. It'll just rip the keel out.
Yeah, you're really underestimating the power of a Kraken. Even the relatively weak one from Pirates of the Caribbean.
It happily punches straight through steel.
To be fair, that thing might weigh enough where it might just destabilize a ship just by latching it.
Okay, yeah, no.
Side of it.
Never mind. Nope. The Kraken in Pirates of the Caribbean is estimated to be 425 meters in length.
Big boy.
It could quite reasonably grab a hold of a ship and drag it down. Even in the battleship era.
I mean, depth charges are probably going to ruin its day.
Yes, they
might
will.
piss it off.
So it's only counterable when you get depth charges. Because torpedoes ain't going to do shit because it hangs out under the ship.
I too would like to use an S-Rock.
I wish to have access to the anti-submarine torpedo. I mean, funnily enough, that's one of the ways you could actually counter it. High-frequency sonar. We know that high-frequency sonar is very detrimental to marine life.
Oh, my marine life isn't Titanic.
Yes, but we also know that high frequency sonar gets worse and worse for organisms the larger they are. Has significantly more effect on something like a blue whale or a giant squid than it does a smaller squid or shark.
Yeah.
So its size might actually become a detriment to it.
On the other hand, throw enough explosive overboard, you should be able to deal with it. As long as it doesn't crack your ship in half first.
The Cold War killing was easy. It's called a nuclear depth charge.
Yeah, that is just... it's just... Go the fuck away, gigantic beastie.
No, it's just one small little AW frigate going, I give my life for Pakistan and just taking it in a nuclear fireball.
Oh, that would be funny. Dear.
Next.
Okay. Next is.
But since it's only 4 of us, are we dropping the system?
It depends on the question. If it's going to be a longer form question, then probably not. If it's going to be a short question, then
I
no.
think the shorter the question, the more likely you will not need the form.
Yeah. 1931, for the panel, do the names Italia, Vittorio Veneto... I did say this was 1931, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay,
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so... For the panel, do the names Italia, Vittorio Veneto, Roma, and Impero sound better than the naming scheme that sound like a better naming scheme than Littorio, Vittorio Veneto, Roma, and Impero for Italy's only class of fast battleships? No. And that comes down to one simple fact. Littorio is the first new-build capital ship of fascist Italy. And it is fitting, even though I don't like it, that she is named for the symbol of that ideology. There was basically no way she was going to be called anything else.
The fascista, the bundle of sticks.
I have more of an issue with the fact that this question say like there's a difference between the two, but the only difference is Italian Littorio. We could have just asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, as Italia, it's a much more neutral name, not related to any ideology. But, as I said, these were ships laid down and built for fascist Italy. They...
The bold man.
Yes, the funny seaman.
It's
We cannot
names for
pronounce
fascist
spaghetti.
Italy that didn't see itself as Italy, that saw itself as the reincarnation of the Roman Empire. That's why they name a ship Italy, if they think they're Rome.
Yeah.
You've also got another problem. Italia is also a terrible name.
Yep.
Do not name your ships after your country.
Because what happens if Deutschland gets sunk?
What happens if Italia, leading the battle line, gets sunk?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good. Chandler Lord.
Because at least Britannics striking a mine means that Britain's found more coal in Wales.
Hey. Chandler Lord. Were the 2-pounder pom-pom and the 2-pounder in early war tanks such as the Matilda 2 related? As far as
No.
I'm aware, no. The 2-pounder
Yes.
the 2-pounder anti-tank gun was a gun developed from not quite the ground up, but I know they shared shell commonality, but I think the 2-pounder has no real link apart from that with the pom-pom.
It does. It shares a lot of genetic ancestry.
Ancestry, but not quite the whole thing.
It's just a shell.
But
It's just a shell that shares ancestry.
It also shares a lot of barrel design. Like the breech is completely bespoke for the 2-pounder tank gun, but the barrels are heavily based off the 2-pounder barrels. Hence why a lot of the longer 2-pounders, they have to go for the adapter.
No. The adapter also is a squeeze ball, which has nothing to do with the pom-pom.
Yeah, but my point is that the battle has a lot. The barrel for the 2-pounders has a lot in common when it comes to design and manufacture with the 2-pounder anti-aircraft gun, right?
No, it doesn't. It's explicitly noted in 2-pounder development that they were distinctly different.
Is
To
it?
the
Or I get my
idea.
guns mixed up.
I think
Yeah,
you're
I
getting
get
the
my
guns
guns
mixed up. The 6, on the other hand, you'll find the 6-pounder was more similar, I'd have said, but
Is it the 6-pounder?
even that's still mostly bespoke.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it then. I know one of them, British pounder guns for our land-based use, is basically a new breech and a naval barrel. Don't mind me just being wrong. Next.
Mhm. Yeah, one second. I'm just quickly gathering some questions together. There we go.
Yes, it was the 6-pounder.
The Mullen 6-pounder, right?
6-pounder, 7 Seward, yeah.
Right.
The guns of this caliber had been employed by the Royal Navy from the late 19th century. The gun design itself was completed by 1940. But carriage design took till 41.
Okay, so I was thinking of the 6-pounder.
Which can trace its lineage to naval.
Yikes.
But Millboy, if the Italian battleships had to serve in the Pacific in a world without the atomic bombs, how would they be refitted and reused? You basically can't change any of their major systems. Their fire control, their main guns, their secondary battery, and their heavy AA suite. Because that's far too much work for what you want them for. However, what you can do is replace the medium and light AA suite with allied barrels to ease supply, at least in that regard.
Shake, but for 5-inch 38s on them.
It's too much work.
Place
They'll
them.
fit.
I
They'll
mean-
probably fit.
They'll fit, and it's you
But
don't want
to
to be
be
taking
fair,
out
by that
all
time-
bespoke ammunition.
But no, to be fair, by that time, I'd probably just replace everything with 3-inch 50s.
Again, like, I understand what you're saying, but bear in mind, if they're being called to serve, there will be a desire to move them out to that theatre as quickly as possible. And whilst the Allies may want to, like, and also
They've been in Allied hands for 2 years, because they were planned for their landing operations, that wouldn't have gone ahead until 46.
Now, while I understand what you're saying, bear in mind that these are still ships of a, technically, since the peace treaty hasn't been, they technically still belong to a co-belligerent in the form of the Kingdom of Italy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
technically, if the Allies want the ships, it's the Kingdom of Italy's choice what form they go in. And I can see the Kingdom of Italy accepting the argument for replacement of the light and medium AA, because that will simplify supply in theatre that way. But I think they might draw the line, and also it's fairly easy to retrain crews on that, and they at this point they aren't really directed guns in the same way that heavy AA batteries have been for a while. Or if they have directors, they come with them out. So that's fairly easy to retrain for and adapt to. But the Italians are probably not going to be willing to, despite its relative anemicness in terms of reach out and touch capability, it is that they are set up for the 90mm. They know how the 90mm works. They've got the director set up for it. They've trained on it. They know how it works. They have a reasonable stock of ammunition for it.
Politely, that Kingdom of Italy, that government, the ships are in Allied hands, and that government is a sock puppet for Allied command. And Italy tried saying no historically to the Allied command after their capitulation. It didn't go well for the government of Italy. And the Allies got what they wanted and what they needed. So if the Americans and the British are willing to spend their political capital to get their ships out to the Far East, they're going to be rearmed on the way. They're like, oh, it might even be a case of, oh, don't worry.
We'll put on radars and gunfire control system for free.
The problem is, I can see, like,
Rip out the
There's
90s, put twin 3-inch. Would be pretty simple refit.
yeah, that would be, if the three, that I can see, because at that point you're basically just going all in on, there is a bubble around this ship. It's not really out there to defend,
we also don't know what level of access of munitions they have to Italian 90 mils.
Probably
Hello?
sizable,
Yes?
probably sizable stocks from the land-based 90 mils that aren't doing anything. Since the war in Europe.
Are they compatible?
I believe they are, if not exactly the same gun, they use the same ammunition.
Now, the 90 mils is not an anti-aircraft gun in the Pacific.
Yeah, it is. It is
I mean,
literally.
yeah.
It is literally the same cannon, the 9053. It is exactly the same gun as the land-based gun.
All right.
Yeah, it's a very anemic gun for the Pacific, though.
Well, no, the biggest issue of operating an Italian battleship in the Pacific is you are going to have to attach a oil fleet for it
Yep.
indefinitely.
This is one of the reasons why the Italians didn't. Because the Littorios just don't have the legs.
Just saying, if a British battleship outlegs you by like triple the distance in terms
Yeah.
of range, you have many problems operating. in the
Also because they
Pacific.
weren't meant to operate outside the Med.
Yeah, no.
But they're still warm bodies. And the invasion of Japan just called for warm bodies for bombardment duties.
They are decent. They're good enough ships.
Yeah, and they're also flat out a match for in a surface gunfight for basically anything Japan has, and that includes the big fat fucker, also known as Yamato.
No.
Yes, they
I
are.
don't think you're gonna have a fun time fighting that, but
They can both hurt. Both combatants can both hurt each other.
Yamato has an immunity zone against Littorio. Littorio doesn't.
No, they don't. Littorio's
They don't.
15-inch guns laugh hysterically at Yamato's armor. There's a reason why
Oh, they
those guns'
don't.
barrel life were so low was because of the sheer level of Jesus Mac fucking Christ, the speed those shells were traveling at.
Mediterranean ranges.
No,
They would laugh, but
the
not at the Pacific ranges.
no, the velocity of shells leaving gun barrels doesn't change when you move from ocean to ocean.
No, but,
Yeah, but
the-
combat
but
ranges do.
yeah, and what she's referring to is combat ranges do, which means speed of projectile impacting does, which means less penetrating force.
You do real.
And the 18-inch carries more energy when penetrating.
Shell drag is a thing, Fleet.
The ranges of engagement that the Littorios are fighting at in the Mediterranean was some of the longest range battleship gunnery ever.
Yeah.
And
And did they hit shit at that range? When everyone else was.
That's more down to some of the other issues they had with their fire control system. But even then, at that point, the point I'm making is, your argument is that...
They get bapped.
Well,
By Yamato.
Right. So Yamato Yamato is within threat range from 18,000 meters. That is assuming it hits flat. But on the other hand, if engaging out at that range, you're actually looking at about a 13.4 degree angle of fall. Right, Italian's own charts. So while you have a 510mm penetration of flat side armor, more likely you're at that range, you're looking at much less. Impacting on it's armor.
Which is an immunity zone. Like I said.
And that's based on the US's armor testing penetration formulas, whereas the Italian ones seem to more state that at the same range basically mentioned, it's only got around 416 millimeters of penetration. So almost 100 millimeters less pen. Accounting for angle of fall again, things might be different. So while Yamato doesn't have a complete immunity, she definitely can open up first and can hurt from longer range. On the other hand, engaging at longer ranges, you're still going to need to be getting very lucky if your shells are actually hitting.
Yamato also got the mass to just eat shells more often than a Littorio will eat at 18.
Okay.
It's not a match I would want to do in a 1v1 circumstance. Let's go with that.
If they're being sent to the Mediterranean, they're in there for bombardment duties, and
Okay, there we go. So that is that we did get that one.
and most bombardment duties was actually AA duties for landings. So
Yeah. All right.
so
Okay.
they get rid of the 90 mils quick.
Yeah, maybe. Candlelord asks, regarding the Reach questions, would Death Squadron Legends continuity sway the result of the battle? Honestly, I'm not even a Halo nerd, and I can just say it's a squadron of fighters. It's not going to make a damn bit of difference.
What? No. As in,
We are talking the same Death Squadron that had those special ties, right?
we're really not. Death Squadron is one Executor-class Super Star Destroyer, multiple ISDs of the most powerful we've ever seen, at least 4 upgraded Imperial 1s and 3 standard IS-2s, 5 extra standard Imperial Star Destroyers. So you're looking at least 12 Imperial Star Destroyers. This is excluding because we know they've also got 1 Allegiance class battle cruiser. You are really underestimating the size of Death Squadron.
No,
That's just
no,
was a
I'm
fighter
not.
squadron.
I'm
Death
not.
Squadron refers to the fleet that Vader commands, if that's what this is referring to. And I believe that said in Legends continuity.
I'm sure there's a Death Squadron that's fighters.
No.
Yeah, Death Squadron explicitly refers to Vader's personal fleet.
What am I thinking of then?
Are you thinking of Black 8 Squadron?
I might be.
Which was the squadron which was in Death Squadron.
I
Oh,
might be.
Also, sorry, you've also got the Pride of Talania, a communications battle cruiser. This actually makes a massive... Oh, and also the 181st Imperial Fighter Squadron. This actually makes quite a big difference. Right, so if we're going off the final one, Death Squadron included 1 Executor, Pride of Talania, 2 Allegiance-class battle cruisers, 3 Tector Star Destroyers, and 33 Imperial-class. Referring to 1 and 2s. Now, considering the sheer forces available at Reach, yes, that's still not the largest of forces we had, but it's a significant addition.
It's just who do they shoot at?
The Covenant, more than likely. Mostly because Xenophobia Go Burr. Is, well, which side do we support? The ones that look human? Or the ones that are very clearly not? And Chandlerlord's saying they are with the UNSC, then yeah, this makes a massive difference.
They'd be with the UNSC though. But anyway.
Chandlerlord's saying they're meant to be with the UNSC, so that's why I'm going off it. As I said, you've just made a very big difference. The inclusion of the Executor alone. Also, you've changed the fighter battle massively, because now you have a huge amount of fighters have just been thrown in.
Isn't the accurate term a bejesus number of fucking ties? At that point, Dragon. Given the amount of hangar
You're
space.
You're looking in the thousands at least.
Okay, so a fucking bejesus amount of ties.
And this isn't just standard TIE fighters, this is fighters, bombers, interceptors, defenders, TIE advanced. Death Squadron got all the toys. It's why it was such a loss when most of Death Squadron died.
How did they die?
Battle of Endor. Executor blew up against the Death Star. Pride of Talania was crippled by rebels and eventually destroyed, resulting in a massive loss of communications. A number of Star Destroyers were just taken out. Like,
Or is that the
Uh,
scene where their single firecraft smashes into the bridge and the executioner
That's
sort of dies?
after a massive amount of damage already being done, but yes. Prior to Talania, 16 Star Destroyers and Executor all went down in the Battle of Endor.
Wasn't that the
So,
first recorded loss of a Super Star Destroyer?
Yes.
Neat. The more you know.
You reckon that Disney's going to bring out the Hyper Star Destroyer next?
Already done so. The Mega Star Destroyer exists.
Really?
Yeah. You know, in
The massive
episode
flying
10,
wing.
the wing, it is the Mega Star Destroyer.
I thought
Why-
that was like a dreadnought or something.
No, it is the Mega Class Star Destroyer or the Mega Star Destroyer.
You know, why they didn't just call it by its actual name that it has, rather than calling it the Mega Class, I do not know.
Don't worry
yeah,
It
about
just
it.
sounds
Big difference.
childish.
But hey,
Also,
Yeah, but
if that,
also,
show,
also,
hey,
also,
if that show up, at least the Covenant Super Carrier actually has something to shoot at.
Yeah.
Although,
You-
although I
You
will
have
point-
probably a broadside gunnery duel, knowing the Executor.
although I am just going to
Can
point
McCovey
out,
Super Carrier, the Super Duper Carrier, win that?
It is still a bigger ship, yes.
It's the bigger ship, but it's going to be a fight.
Oh yeah.
Because that is a ship designed to be a carrier.
Hmm.
The Executor is a ship designed to be a battleship and command ship. It is
Isn't
meant to
that
take the fire.
Super Duper Carrier, Covenant Super Duper Carrier, have like energy projectors for days, if I remember correctly.
So does an Executor.
Yeah, but the big ones when you're seeing
Not
popping
the
ships in singular
not
shots.
those. No, not those ones. It's
Yeah.
basically you know the standard plasma beams that you see on
Yeah.
the normal one. Basically, just imagine a whole bunch more of those, but now basically in turreted mounts, so they've got far better ranges of fire. Because
I
most
thought
Covenant
the
ships
ones
actually only have
had-
forward-facing plasma beams.
Because I
Or-
thought the Super Duper Carrier has the plasma project energy projectors that the pair of them are put on platforms and ambush and knock out the Infinity.
It does have the
In comics.
It does have the why are you doing this? Like Titanic excavation beam at the bottom.
And I'm just
Like-
imagining the Super Duper Carrier rearing like a cobra and just
Right, I know you don't really like Project Stardust because it's based on Roblox, but that's a tactic. They just literally cobra up, do that, shoot off the beam, then flip back down.
ah yes, the Gleipnir tactic. So, well, what I would call
But yeah, 1 Lux pattern, super heavy excavation beam, 12 super heavy plasma lancers, 20 beam arrays, 80 plasma emitters, and 32 plasma torpedo silos.
I'm looking at that.
Then a lot of anti-aircraft fire. But
I'm looking at that Mega Star Destroyer. And why does it look like something from Project Wingman and not Star Wars?
yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Like,
Uh,
put some sort of counter-rotating propellers on the back
At the
of
back, and you've got an arc bird.
it. Yes.
yeah. Bone Mill Boy. Why was a SAPER command established alongside SWPA command and POA commands in 1942? Did the Allies think the Japanese posed a threat to the Southeast Pacific? I mean, the answer to that question lies in one word and one word only: Guadalcanal. What is that but not a threat to the Southeast Pacific?
Remember, the Japanese were poking at Fiji. And Fiji's the gateway to the New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the gateway to cutting Australia off from America. So, yeah. God, what would happen if Fiji fell, of all places?
Brandon Larson asks, what if all 70 plus Arleigh Burkes are sent back in time, fully crewed and equipped, along with ships carrying spare weapons and parts to 1929? What is the world's reaction? I think Ruinon puts it best. Every nation that is not the US has a massive oh shit moment, and the US has undisputed naval and possibly even global supremacy until Congress decides to sell or scrap them. Or in my opinion, until they decide to break down. Until the last of those ships fundamentally breaks down in a way that cannot be repaired, as long as one of them still sails the oceans, the US has basic ability to do whatever the hell it likes. An Arleigh Burke by itself is a weapon to destroy a fleet in the 20s.
Well, the US needs to figure out the fuel first, but yes.
I assume if the ships are carrying spare weapons and parts, there's also probably a tanker or two along to at least give them a bit of breathing room while they work out how fuel works.
Yeah, but spare weapon and parts is not in any way related to fuel.
True, but they can drain the tanks.
Second or third ship.
True, but they can drain, like, the 70 plus of the bloody things. Like, they can drain about 50 of them to provide a reserve while they figure out fuel. And 30 Arleigh Burkes is still a force to just obliterate every other navy on the planet in a single voyage.
It also depends. It depends on which system operates off of GPS.
I mean, politely, given the accuracy of the Burkes, the accuracy and range of the Burke's 5-inch gun,
have we given them their knowledge on how to operate electronics, high-grade military electronics?
They do have refueling ships along with the supply ships,
and they go back in time fully crewed.
Oh, if they go back fully crewed, then yeah.
So even if you can't use the missiles to the best of their ability, no. So Harpoon you can use, because Harpoon is literally yeet at target with active sensor. Tomahawk, the land attack Tomahawk is basically useless. Naval Tomahawk, again, see previous answer with Harpoon. Azrock is fine. Again, yeet at area with submarine, watch torpedo chase. Totally unprepared submarine till it dies. The 5-inch gun is basically... An Arleigh Burke can basically win a gun duel with anything that isn't a battleship. Because of just the rate of fire, accuracy, and range of that 5-inch gun. It's honestly kind of silly. It really is. Like, it's the thing that finally broke me from saying, oh, we need big guns back, and I look at what the single mount on an Arleigh Burke could do, and I just went, yeah, no, we're good. We're fine.
You know, we do need big guns back. We need big guns with the rate of fire and all the advantages of those 5-inch. Imagine doing that with a 16-inch.
You can't do that with a 16-inch. It's not possible.
Is it not possible, or are you not throwing enough money at the designers?
It's possible, just not on a usable scale.
Thank you, Dragon. That's probably the best way to describe
That sounds like a lack of cocaine issue.
Yeah,
it is.
That's a, you know what?
Let's admit it.
You know what, Foxo? Normally you and I don't agree on some things, but that is the best fucking phrase I have ever heard to describe an idea like that. That is a lack of cocaine issue. That is just... Someone put that in the quotes channel. I'm putting that in the quotes channel.
Because honestly, if you think about it, the big problem with all-wielding 16-inch guns, based on our understanding of 16-inch gun, which is multi-piece ammunition. If you'd be funny, do a one-piece ammunition of a 16-inch gun. You could totally make an auto-loading system out of that.
And you can also get away with a much shorter casing with modern propellants than contemporary propellants.
Oh, please. Okay,
Actually, no, you can also do the things they do now in tanks with combustible casing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna stop you right there. Not because I don't think this is a valid discussion, but because if we go down this rabbit hole, we'll never get out of it. Next question. Ruinon asks... sorry, that wasn't Ruinon, that was the thing, I think. Timu. Panel's dream warship that would operate solely in the Baltic all year round conditions in the current era. Honestly, Arleigh Burke, thank you very much. Like,
In the
why
Baltics?
would I take anything else than the gold standard warship that can do anything?
Because you're not boring.
Yeah, that's a cyclic level boring answer.
Like, I'm sorry, but the question was asked of me. I'm taking a fucking bird.
So it said ship, right?
Panel's dream warship design.
Warship. Okay. If does it have to exist currently?
Nope, it just says dream.
It's just this
Okay.
current era as well.
Project Wingman Cell airship.
Oh, fuck off.
They do canonically land and rearm in water.
Mhm.
They don't land on land. They will land in.
This is true.
They're massive flying boats.
I'm aware the Baltic Sea freezes in winter. But quite frankly, Timu, no warship is rated for ice breaking. Not in any of the Baltic fleets. They're ice toughened, but not.
Some are
I don't
icebreaker
think-
rated, but there's
I
different
don't think-
ratings of icebreaker.
I also don't think the level of ice in the Baltic Sea gets to the point where you need what you people think icebreakers are
Yeah.
in terms of modern level.
You don't need the big Soviet nuclear style icebreakers, but you
Yeah.
still do need icebreakers.
You need a reinforced
Timu,
battle.
I'm looking at the ships you've sent, but I am not seeing anywhere in the specs that these ships are rated for ice breaking. At all. They have a nice strengthened hull, an ability to operate independently in ice, but that's not the same thing as ice breaking at all. No, it isn't. It is not at all.
It's on the icebreaking ladder because it can break a lot. The strengthened icebreaking hulls are icebreakers for temporary sea ice.
Yes.
They're not the perma icebreakers that you see like the northern fleets use.
Yeah, I would point out, Timu, that the Baltic is not just the area around Finland. Finland does have some of the colder parts of the Baltic Sea near its shores, and does have to deal with unique operating environments that some of the other Baltic powers don't have to deal with.
They do the Swedes and the Norwegians.
No, the Baltic doesn't freeze that. No, Baltic doesn't freeze nearly as much as it used to. It's not really as much of an issue as it used to be. I wouldn't really consider ice hardening to be something a ship in the Baltic needs nowadays. Unless you
Why do you
are,
need ice hardening when you can fly?
unless you are the Finns. For the Finns, they do need it, because they are one of the few people whose naval bases do just casually nope
Oh.
and freeze up.
So there's a slightly better answer than Foxo's just fly. Actual Dream Warship, take Type 83, enlarge it, give it 2 twin 5-inch guns on the front, give it a number of Ottomalaris 76 dotted around the ship, at least 4, if not maybe 6, number of close-in weapon system, even further than that, as well as also actual long-range anti-missile interceptors. Basically, the design that me and Clark talk about anytime we say what would we like as a dream warship for the British Navy.
You had me up to the 2 5-inch guns, but at that point, you...
No, 2 twin 5-inch guns.
Okay, now you've lost me. That is entirely an unneeded level of gun.
It's
You
not
never
actually.
have enough dagger.
So the reason why to go over the argument again, the reason why is basically twin gun systems actually are developing a place again in the current combat theatre. And having 2 twins allows you to actually save on maintenance, ironically. And also allows you, for when you need it, to be able to put out a hell of a lot more firepower for if the situation calls for it. It is that you have the excess capability that is needed.
I would argue...
You don't have to use it all the time, but it's there.
I can see that argument, but I would say that we're still ways away from needing that. I think we are in an era where the time has once again come for 2 main guns in 2 independent mounts. I think we're still a decade or 2 away from twin turrets coming back as you describe.
No, we're not.
I think
The design is here.
Right. The reason why we went down to the singles was because you could get the rate of fire of a twin with a single autoloader, right?
Mhm.
We are now at the point where with current design and autoload design, that one gun in that twin turret is matching the fully automatic 5-inch, and the twin gun turret has twice the rate of fire.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying that. Like, that's not my that's not my argument. That's all completely valid, and I get it. My point is that I would, before you get to that stage, I would say you add another independent single mount before you go to the twin. And the reason I say that is because that independent single mount can be targeted independently of the other gun. If you need to add a second barrel to a ship,
but
that's the best way to do it at this moment. However,
yep.
As I have said just now, before Foxo quite rightly said what she said, and she is correct, if you get to a point where those 2 barrels are no longer enough, then yes, the only realistic way to get more firepower is to double up. Because there's no real place, given the design style and architecture of modern naval vessels, to realistically put a third. I mean, Dr. Clark could be here all he wanted, but I'd still be arguing the same thing. I don't agree with him. I don't think he's right.
Which is fair.
Because my point against what you just said is that to have the second turret and support the second turret, you're taking up space that would be given to VLS or other systems. If you go to a twin, that's already in a space that's for the 5-inch gun. You're not designating additional hull volume to it.
I mean, like I said, that again, completely valid.
Which means more VLS, which means more metal, more kill.
Again, completely valid. And that is something that has to absolutely be considered. But again, if I'm talking about a ship of the size and scale where you would have that, I would say you could afford to work into the design another single. But if you are a power that has to... But again, like I said, you are completely right. If you do not have the scale to do that, then yes, your only option is to skip basically what I call phase 2, which is to basically do alternate phase 2, which is one version of phase 2 is the two singles, which I would say is better, more flexible. But again, Foxo is entirely correct. What if you are a power that doesn't have the yard space? Given that again, as she said, missile magazine depth is increasing, the area required for VLS is increasing, just because of the way the threat environment is changing. And if you don't have the room for that second single mount, she's quite correct. The only option is to go for a twin. The thing that I'm debating here is on Dragon's design is I think he's jumping to the 2 twins a little too early. But it is a capable ship with them, I'm not going to deny. While I do think it's added expense and complexity, it's not a bad thing for it to have those 2 twins. It's, as I said, I think it's too much gun, but as long as it's not taking away from the ship's other capabilities, then it's not a bad thing. I just think it's too much gun too early. Especially with the added 3-inch guns he's also got on it. But
that's all irrelevant.
He's a heretic.
I think that's all irrelevant, because what I would do is put a 100,000-ton nuclear aircraft carrier into the Baltics, because I don't give a shit.
Also, I can't believe that none of us thought submarines. I just realized.
Why would I want to be on a submarine?
Why would I want to operate a submarine in the Baltic?
Diesel electric sneaky boat, go sneaky.
No. Right, Fleet. Why would you want to be on a submarine?
I don't know. I've been on a submarine. I found it quite enjoyable.
Have you been on a submarine in service?
Yeah.
For a prolonged period.
No, that I haven't.
That very quickly changes your mind.
But also, it's simple, because I'm right. Why would you want a submarine when you can be an aircraft?
Oh my god. I will admit, I have actually enjoyed this question. I have very much enjoyed this question.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Why be an
Astro
aircraft if you could be in a
catch you if
spaceship?
you fly.
Zoom!
Why be an aircraft if you could be a spaceship?
Oh, that is very funny. Yeah, that is very, very funny.
But yeah, fun fact: there are airships in Project Wingman, the Sky Cruisers, and the Sky Battle Cruisers, and the
See,
Sky
Dodders-
Battleships.
Dodders,
They
that
are
image,
flying boats.
That
Yeah,
image
but they
goes
get
fucking
blown up too
hard.
easily.
That image goes fucking hard.
It does. It's actually one of a series because the person has done ones for both sides. I do personally think in that fight, the Macrag's Honor, which is depicted there, will win.
But it won't be
Hands
that
down.
one-sided.
Yeah, the Macrag's Honor doesn't have nearly enough battle damage.
Yeah.
But-
I'm...
Just due to the sheer ludicrous nature of 40k, yeah, no, that is probably what would happen to the Executor.
Yeah.
But it was really funny watching the Star Wars subreddits absolutely mauled at that image.
Oh, yeah. My thought was, I'm someone who... Yeah, the thing is, I was told that, oh, well, you're just someone who hates Star Wars. And like, no, I'm a die-hard Star Wars fan.
But there
And I
comes a
know
point...
I know that's what would happen.
Yeah, like, there comes a point where if you're doing these... Well, first of all, comparing across fandoms never ends well to begin with, as Dragon has told me a few times. But if you are going to do it, you can't play favourites.
It can
Importantly,
end well, but you
attempt
need
trying-
the right people to talk.
Yeah, but basically, you can't play favourites, basically. You've got to come at it, honestly.
I don't know. Comparing anything to 40k just sounds like a chore.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It really is.
Yeah. Brandon Larson asks, what if all UNSC ships are replaced with their Covenant counterparts in 2520? How does the future human Covenant war go?
Very confused humans.
Mirror matchup?
So does that
Question
mean?
mark?
So hang on. Does that mean the Covenant retains anything
Oh,
that the
yeah.
humans don't have?
No, but that
in
means that
equivalents?
I think that means the stuff like the Punic all of a sudden gets replaced with a CSO class.
How
is
would?
That's how I'm
not-
interpreting that.
I'm unsure if you want to interpret it that way.
Well, there's all UNSC ships are replaced with their Covenant counterparts. So my thought is that they get their Covenant equivalent.
I think we are looking at very different terms.
And I'm pretty sure
of
Brandon
equivalent.
is still in chat, so he can clarify if they are
Probably.
currently still alive.
Are you talking about equivalent in row or equivalent in tonnage?
Yes, Dragon is correct.
Oh, in rows?
I do love that whole cutscene where the Infinity
Very
just
confused humans.
comes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I do love that cutscene where the Infinity just bursts out of like slip space and just rams a Covenant ship, and it's literally. And I'm sorry, but ever since I saw a meme of that with, like, you know, the silly car horn just coming out of the just I can't stop laughing at it. I can't stop laughing at it because I can hear it. Even if there's no sound, I can hear it.
That was just a CAS, right? Or was it
Hmm?
even small?
CRS.
Isn't
Isn't it?
okay.
Is it CRS?
I
I'll
can't
check my thing.
remember.
Right. Well, unfortunately, Dr. Clark isn't here, so
Yes. Give my question again.
Yes, they are. Xanar Patton CRS class cruiser.
Okay. Yeah, it's a Covenant cruiser, not carrier.
Oh boy, this is gonna cause some Vandalord panels top 3 and bottom 3 Star Destroyers active during the Galactic Civil War in the Legends continuity, rated as general purpose units. Very quickly.
You missed a bit. Explicitly classed as a Star Destroyer.
Ships classed. No, it says ships classed as a Star Destroyer or based on the hull of one of those. Hang on. Galactic Civil War. That doesn't include the early New Republic period when they get some of their funny boys.
It does.
Oh, in that case, then that's easy. My top 3 is the Republic class, the Endurance class fleet carrier, and oh, come on, fleet. The thing the Endurance is based on.
Nebula?
Thank you.
So,
those
we've
are
been
my-
shown here, Fleet has
so-
no sense of taste. again.
Look.
The Nebula's at least good.
If the Mediator was classed as a Star Destroyer, it'd be at the top. The Prig the Muscoper! But it's not, so I can't have it. The bottom is, oh, no, actually. Sorry, I'm going to change that. My top one is actually... no, actually, no.
Fully realizing he has no taste.
No, it's not that. Oh, I can see it.
Describe.
Struggling to find words. Oh, come on.
New Republic, Empire, Republic.
Space DeLorean.
Technically, yes. They technically have one ship that could be classed as it.
There is in fact treasure hunts in Horizon 5.
Actually, you know what? I will stick to my old Republic thing since I can't think of it. Bottom, I think.
Two of those aren't classed as Star Destroyers, Petchington.
My bottom three, seeing as they have to be Star Destroyers and not anything bigger, I think. So the top of my bottom three is the Imperial 2. I think.
It's not saying battleships, Petch. It's saying Star Destroyer.
And the reason that I do hold the Imperial 2 the way I do is because it gives... Well, yes, it does lean into and is quite good at capital ship on capital ship fights. It does lose some of the point defense weaponry that did make the Imperial 1 so good as a general purpose capital ship. But it is still a semi-decent ship. It's why it's at the top of my worst list. Below that, you've... And also politely... A capital ship focused one exists. It's called the Tector. Below that, I would say the I'd say the Venator. As a carrier, it's okay, but as a Star Destroyer, I don't think it's worthy of the name. I think it should have been called the Venator class carrier rather than the Venator class Star Destroyer. I don't think it has the ship-to-ship firepower to really be worthy of that name. It leads far too much into the carrier side of its role. And at the bottom, the Gladiator, completely unworthy of the Star Destroyer designation. A frigate with delusions of grandeur at best.
Considering it's in cruiser category, calling it a frigate is an insult.
Yes, exactly. It was meant to be.
One who does not value the worth of them.
I do, but they just have the wrong designation. Okay, Foxo is next.
What's the question?
Panel's top and bottom 3 Star Destroyers. Ships classified as Star Destroyers or based on the hull of one of those, active during the Galactic Civil War and the Legends continuity, rated as general purpose units.
That's a really hard question for me.
She basically knows none of them apart from Imperial.
None of them, aside from Imperial, I despise the concept of the Star Destroyer.
Do you want to skip and pass over to Moe?
So my answer is all of them. Next.
Okay, Moe.
I share the exact same sentiment as Foxo. They're just all Doritos to me.
Okay, I guess it's Dragon to match up against me then.
Who the hell gave the Imperium an Eclipse? Sorry. Randomly, when I'm looking at some of the designs, a picture of what almost looks like a World Eater Eclipse class.
Yeesh.
Probably top favorite is the 7th Fleet Modified Imperial 1.
What's the difference between a 7th Fleet Imperial 1 and a normal Imperial 1, Dragon?
Very little. Basically, you know the standard turbo laser batteries you find on the Imperial 1, the ones along the sides?
Yep.
They are replaced by the heavy octuples of the Imperial 2. It's basically a hybrid between Imperial 1 and 2.
Then why
You maintain the same capabilities of the Imperial 1 but improve its anti-capital ship capability of the Imperial 2.
Had I known that exists, I would have had that at the top of my list as well. That's basically just...
It's the perfect mix.
Why is that not all Imperial class Star Destroyers? It's been proven it's possible.
Because they actually were in a surprisingly large number, but they just weren't the standard because basically Kuat didn't like making them because you have to follow a non-standard design.
Oy. Well, this maybe should have made
Ironically,
it
probably
standard design.
second favorite is probably the Secutor in just terms of pure visual.
Hang on, is Secutor class?
Secutor class Star Destroyer, type Star Destroyer.
No, it is. Sorry,
Secondary type Battle Cruiser and Battle Carrier, but it is the largest non-standard Star Destroyer. I made sure to double check that one myself because it is very
Yeah, I keep remembering.
narrow.
Yeah, I keep remembering it as a designation other than Star Destroyer. But no, it is. It is a Star Destroyer. Where am I getting the fact that Secutor is not a Star Destroyer from? Because from what I can see, from what I'm doing, it's always been a Star Destroyer. Where am I getting that?
Probably
from?
then the Victory 1 is probably third favorite.
Okay, that is a solid pick. But why the third
Okay.
favorite?
Because basically there's other categories. The Secutor is purely from visual, plus also they actually have, if you go off the Expanded Lord, they've got a hell of a lot of heavy firepower. They are actually if you're having a battleship with carrier capability, it is what you have.
Yeah.
Least favorites, Venator's definitely in there.
Damn, I didn't
Love
think.
I love the look of the Venator. I hated it as a unit.
Wow, we actually agree on something. That is
Right. I have the UCS Lego Venator. That cost more than it should. I love the look of it. They are used stupidly.
Can you blame the ship on that?
Yes, because it's explicitly designed to be a frontline warship,
and it
despite
does.
being a carrier.
It doesn't I mean, I think I said it quite well. It doesn't have the firepower to even just. It's not.
I, like many others, despise the look of the Endurance. Because I'm sorry, that bridge is just a tumor that needs to be surgically removed.
Whereas with me, it's a reverse of the way you think about the Victory. I like the Endurance as a unit, but I'm not fond of how it looks. Hence why it went on my favourites list.
Make sure, is this still classed as that type? Okay, this ship barely scrapes through of not being able to be legal. So I can't put that as probably one of my least favorites. Because I despise the Harrower class. Again, looks beautiful. Even does well, but it ruins lore. So going beyond that... Honestly, those are the only two that really jump out as actual ones I hate. Or dislike that are actual classed as Star Destroyers. I guess to a degree, actually. Also, the Tector I'm not a big fan of in terms of what it does, but... So yeah. The Harrower just shouldn't exist when it does. It's why I hate people who make... It's why I hate the idea of prequels so much more than others. Is a prequel done right is perfect. A prequel done wrong is god-awful for what it does to the rest of them. Why have you made the Harrower class basically as advanced or more advanced than standard Star Destroyers? Thankfully, they do get bodied now, but still. It just looks too advanced. Yes, the Endurance classes are just terrible ships overall. In terms of most regards. Not actually a big fan of the Imperial Nebulon B in a lot of regards. It's not bad, I just don't want it to be called a Nebulon B.
Yeah, it should be called something
I think it should be something different.
Yeah. What'd you call it? What would you call it, Dragon? What
Honestly, Nebulon A actually doesn't work that bad, considering what the Nebulon C looks like, but I probably, until I could actually come up with something decent, it would probably just be Imperial Patrol Cruiser. Or Imperial Patrol Frigate.
Well, why not combine the two? Nebulon Imperial Patrol Cruiser. And then the Nebulon B
because it doesn't quite fit, but yeah.
But the thing is, if you call it a Nebulon B, when the Rebels have it, that's because it's the B version that they've, stripped down and reworked. Whereas the Nebulon Patrol Cruiser serves the Empire. It's not the A version, it's just the Nebulon Patrol Cruiser. It's the Nebulon B when the Rebels have it.
With time, I could probably come up with a better name. Is the whole thing why I wouldn't necessarily call it that, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I was more just chewing the,
Idea.
Yeah. I occasionally have thoughts. They occasionally work. This is one of those times when they kind of sort of clicked together.
He's lying. Don't fall for it.
Hey,
Right, okay. Where did we get to? I'm just checking I've not missed any questions. Oh, shit.
okay, Moe, can I just ask you a quick question?
Yes.
When did Fiat acquire a bath? For make the Fiat 500?
I know what you're meaning. It's been quite a while. The Scorpion logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's been quite a while. I've seen them drive around for quite a long time at this
I
rate.
just asked it because I can't tab out. If I tab out,
I think it was 1971 or something like that.
You sure?
Yeah. It's somewhere in the 70s, early 70s.
What was the name again?
She was wondering when Abarth got taken over by Fiat.
Okay, so yeah, it was. It was July 31st, 1971.
Oh, wow, I was right.
Sorry, it's just in a quiz I'm doing currently, and I thought it was in the 80s. Anyway, go to the next
Continue,
question.
please, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, waiting.
Yeah, I was waiting for you, Walter. Anyway, 1971. Would King Richard I and King Henry V have been acceptable names for a Queen Elizabeth-class battleship, and why were they rejected? I mean, you could slap them on a battleship, I suppose. But, I mean, probably because I would guess the reason why they were rejected is because they, apart from the lead ship of the class, the naming scheme for the QEs doesn't seem to have been royalty.
I mean, that isn't... That... I don't even think that's an issue, is it?
Well,
I think the big thing is, has any monarch been named as a Royal Navy ship in that era that isn't from the House of Windsor?
Yeah, the only ones you have is Edward VIII, King George V, and Queen Elizabeth. I guess, and technically also the older Victorias.
And the Victorias, yeah. Stuff like Elizabeth I is sort of 16th century.
Because there's plenty of Royal Navy ships named after monarchs, but I think most of the monarchs that they're named after is a lot of the more recent ones, except for the original Queen Elizabeth. But that's a unique case.
So they're named after the monarchs people care about, basically. Because when was the last time someone
Which
actually
Queen Mary does Queen Mary refer to?
I don't know.
They're not talking about like the Renaissance age Queen Mary, right?
Not
Like
sure.
the one was it or the one before Elizabeth or something like that? Or are they referring to Queen Mary, the Queen Mother?
Yes, it's Mary of Tech.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Who is Queen Consort.
Yeah.
And the Empress of India under when she married George V. So yeah.
Fleet of Oceans. No, sorry, not me. Typical gunnery officer.
Yes,
I'm-
you. You have a question. Please ask.
And here we see stage 6 dementia. He's forgotten his own name.
Typical gunnery officer. Do you think the Lamps 3 MH60R
Oh boy, here we
Seahawk
go.
isn't as good as these helicopters? And I'm going to impose the system for this because I basically want to. I can probably annihilate this question myself.
Go for it.
The KA-27, Z-20, NH-90, the Panther, or the Wildcat. Let me spell something out for you. Now, the Seahawk isn't as fast as some of these helicopters. It's not as long-ranged as some of these helicopters. It can't carry as many weapons as some of these helicopters. But here's the thing. It's good in every area. The Seahawk is cold soak capable. Not all of these other helicopters are. The Seahawk is pretty fast. Not all of these other helicopters are. The Seahawk has a dipping sonar. Not all these other helicopters do. The Seahawk has a decent range. Not all these other helicopters do. The Seahawk has a surface search radar. Not all of these other helicopters do. That's the thing here. Seahawk isn't world-beating in every aspect. It's solid in every aspect. And that's why it's, as a general platform for the job it does, shipboard helicopter, with a leaning towards ASW work, it's why it is still one of the best in the world. Not because it's not got things that other helicopters do better. There are things other helicopters do better. But because it is generally the best at doing everything decently well.
Most importantly, it shares part commonality with pretty much every U.S. military branch that operates a UH-60 platform.
Foxo? Anything you want to add? Fox, are you okay?
Sorry, I'm.
She's focusing on
busy right
something
now.
right now.
Ah,
My
okay.
mum's being my mother, so.
Okay, I'll come back to you in a
Don't.
second. Okay. Moe?
Like I said, it shares parts commonality with like pretty much anything else that uses a UH-60 platform in the U.S. military. It's just, it's just as simple as that.
Dragon?
It is something the U.S. Navy needed. They attached things to it, and then voila, there you go.
Dragon? Anything you want to add? I guess not. Typical gunnery officer. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Typical gunnery officer asks, do you think the British World War II era carriers had a better post-World War II refit than the USN carriers like the Essex and the Midway? No. It's not even... No. No,
We lost.
no, it's... No.
One word: victorious.
Yeah, Victorious is the poster child for the bad refits, but even the good refits created assets that were not as capable as their US counterparts.
That's because there was just outright smaller carriers.
Yeah, like that's not a mark against the British carriers, but you're comparing. You asked to compare these ships, and that's unfortunately the truth of the matter.
Actually,
Especially
I mean, the
Victorious
light
was
blades
stripped out-
refitted very well, pound for pound.
Yeah, but unfortunately you're matching them up against the Essexes and the Midway, so there's only so far that takes you.
Did
Unfortunately,
Victorious have to strip out its armor?
Victorious basically got. Yeah, Victorious's whole refit was just an absolute.
Yeah, I know it was an absolute mess, but I'm just sort of like, I feel like the biggest problem with the big British fleet carrier refits that they had to do is probably strip out the armor so that the hangar could actually fit aircrafts that they're operating at that stage.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Which pretty much caused a lot of issues, I would
Yee.
imagine.
Yes, it did. Typical Gunner Officer asks, opinions on the 1950s to 60s US oscillating tank turret designs like the
This will
T-54,
be fun.
T-58, T-57, T-69, etc. Even though they had decent guns and autoloaders, do you think the army dislikes the oscillating turret design and is still quite foreign to them? NBC. There is a reason why oscillating turret designs fell out of favor with even the French.
That is primary number one.
It is nearly impossible to bloody seal them against an NBC environment. Why do you think the AMX-13, while it did linger on in French service, was relegated to second-line roles, and its position taken by things with wheels and normal turrets that could be rendered NBC compliant? And when the US is looking for its next mainline battle tank, even in the 50s and the 60s, if it can't be rendered, and bear in mind, this is the US that's planning to fight a war with the Russians in the nuclear ruins of Europe. If a tank can't keep its crew safe 100% of the time, pretty much, in that environment, then it ain't getting accepted. And none of the oscillating turret designs could offer that. And that's not counting the issues with unreliability, and also, quite frankly, just added complexity for no real gain. As far as the US was concerned.
You're so far off the mark, it's not even funny, but yeah.
Well, if I'm far off the mark, please.
One word. Stabilizers. Early Cold War US tank designs really struggled with twin planing and stabilizers. Oscillating turrets, done correctly, are a very good way of getting dual and triplanar stabilizers. So yeah.
Yeah, but sadly, there is the big elephant in the room, all loaders.
Yeah, a mixture of autoloaders and simple when you get a good working twin plane stabilizer. Just not really a reason to go oscillating.
Pretty much, basically, there's absolutely no reason to have a oscillating turret if you can't keep the autoloaders. The US Army does not trust any of the autoloaders they developed. They threw them all out the fucking window, which basically means why oscillate the turret? It's just going to complicate things for them trying to make a twin plane stabilizers. So back to patents they go. And by the time they probably have create stuff that has reliable auto-loading system that they may trust, everything has gone over to just composite armor, and just they're not even stabilizing the guns. They're stabilizing the gun sights and just have the computer move the guns to trace or follow the gun sights.
Mm-hmm.
Which pretty much eliminates everything a oscillating turret offers. And finally, obviously, NBC issues. But yeah, that's just... It's a fancy gimmick that the US Army looked at, but was ultimately not too satisfied with its outcome in terms of the level of benefits it will provide over just continue producing patents. Patents are nice and simple to produce. Nothing complicated about them.
And also your turrets, basically, what happens if we build a tank around a gun stabilizer?
And then
go on.
Just fundamentally, U.S. tankers like to have their space. Oscillating turrets do not offer that.
Oh, and they get you motion sick.
That too. But
because humans are not built to be triplanar stabilized. As found out with Terms and MBT-70.
I mean, come on. There are people who get sick on trains sitting sideways to the linear motion of a train. Can you imagine trying to be sitting in a three-dimensional stabilized
Yeah.
seat?
Mm.
When it comes to sickness, it's even worse because of the way people only get motion sickness is being in control of the motion. Hence why a lot of drivers will get motion sickness when they're not driving.
Mhm.
But in a tank, you can't do that.
No. Have you two got anything else you want to add before? Because I would like to move on to the next question.
Yeah, move on.
I was thinking turrets until you get to uncrewed turrets, which are a different ball game altogether.
Yeah.
A novelty.
Typical Gunner Officer asks, question 4, what if in the late 90s, early 2000s, the USN decides to keep at least 20 Oliver Hazard Perrys and then refit them with at least 12 to max 16 VLS cells in exchange for the Mark 13 launcher? Why? If they would want to keep the Fig 7s until at least 2020, are we going to see them having quad packed ESSMs plus Evolved Sea Sparrows plus 4 cells of Azerox by the mid 2000s? And also, would the ESSM be adequate enough to arm the Perrys to replace the aging SM-1MR? You've created a ship that is fundamentally worse in every respect. You have made a Perry that is a worse Perry. You've reduced the overall missile magazine. You've removed the ability to, especially the way you've packed it, to have things like Harpoon. And also, they're not really equipped for Azeroth. That's what their helos and torpedo. That's what their helos and torpedo tubes are for. That's their reach out and touch capability. Politely, if you want to keep the Perrys in service, just find a way to develop a version of SM-1MR or develop a version of SM-2 that can be guided by the illuminators on the Perrys. Basically, just get a final version of SM-1 that you're going to have on these Perrys until they phase out of the fleet. The VLS rework is unnecessary, actively detracts from the capability of the ship, rather than enhances it, and Evolved Sea Sparrow is worse than SM-1MR. The only thing that you have improved here is that, congratulations, we have 4 Azerox, which is something we didn't have before. But that's the only improvement. Everything else is a step backwards. Go on, Moe.
By the way, there are still a few OHPs sitting around in Deep Reserve. You could go to the Navy with that plan and see what they say about it.
Like,
there is easier ways to get laughed out of the room, by the way.
I mean, yes.
I mean, politely. I mean, for God's sake, the Australians managed it. Their OHPs can launch SM-2. So, the reason the Oliver Hazard Perrys were retired was because SM-1 was being phased out and the US didn't want to do the work to have them carry SM-2 or fire SM-2 from their arm launchers. If you're retaining them, rather than go through the cost to rip out the very flexible missile magazine and single arm launcher for a less capable missile, just do the work to carry SM-2. Like,
so what you're
Once
saying
you
Mark,
is
get-
that
hold on.
skill issue.
The Mark 13 is too slow for USN standards. In what universe? In what universe is the Mark 13 single-arm launcher too slow for US standards?
They probably are by this stage.
If you are retaining the Perrys, they will do. Considering the alternative is a very expensive rebuild, almost as much cost as building a new ship, to gain less capable missiles. 4 seconds between salvos is slower than simultaneous salvos from BLS. Yes, but it doesn't matter because a Perry can't direct more than a couple of missiles at a time. So it fundamentally doesn't matter.
You don't forget, Perrys are not Aegis equipped ships.
Right, can we just move on?
Yes, we can do. I think we've hit this question over the head. Typical gunnery officer asks, thoughts on the Soviet Navy warships having their 550mm torpedo tubes, unlike the lightweight torpedo tubes on NATO ships. Do you think they're still stuck in the World War II era, or do they need the extra firepower with those big torpedoes to hunt NATO subs? As far as I'm aware, those 533mm torpedo tubes are their ASW assets. They are their equivalent to the lightweight tubes carried by Western navies. Basically, because the Russians just decided to one fleet all of their torpedoes for things that aren't helos or at least have variants of the same caliber of torpedo for their surface and submarine fleets. And have been doing that since they basically got into that whole thing. The only lightweight torpedoes you'll find in Russian inventory, as far as I'm aware, are their ones carried by their helicopters and their aircraft.
Yeah, they never dropped out of their 21-inch torpedo face.
Which is no bad thing. There are benefits to having a torpedo of that size. It's not very space efficient, but I mean, it's not that big of an ask, to be fair, to get a quad 21-inch launcher compared to a triple lightweight mount. It was a choice they made, and it was a perfectly logical choice. They chose to go the way they went, and it's not gone badly for them. It's just one of two options. The Western navies just abandoned the 21-inch torpedo tube and basically said if our ships are going to carry torpedoes, they're going to be lightweight ASW torpedoes, the same as basically the same as the helos carried by, so the same as the ones carried on the helos, so we can pure fleet the ASW torpedoes across our surface combatants and our helicopters that fly off the surface combatants. Whereas the Russians went, we're going to fleet our torpedoes based on whether or not they're carried on aerial things or things that are on or under the water. It's two different ways to do it. Both are valid. Okay. Chandlelord asks, assume the Ardennes push of 1940 fails and the war ends via the Nazis getting removed from power by the Heer, basically refusing to do World War I Electric Boogaloo now in stores, and thus starting negotiations. Italy stays neutral. You are put in charge of modernizing and rebuilding the Spanish Navy. You hold the rank of Almirante General. Franco holds Capitan General de la Armada in an exclusive manner. What European nation do you choose to aid you and why? I keep doing what Spain was doing prior to the Civil War. I use the various contacts and interests that I have in the various yards that I have domestically and work that way. And because, for example, everyone forgets, the Canarias class is not a licensed build of a county. The reason it is the way it is because the people who build the counties also own a controlling stake in it's SNECA Naval, and it's the Spanish Hispania Naval Construction. Hang on 1 minute. I'm just gonna check. I'm just gonna get my facts right before I put my foot in it. 1 second. Sorry, yeah. Sociedad Española de Construcción de Naval, SECN. The majority stake in them is owned by John Brown and Vickers Armstrong. So when the Spanish Navy went to them for a SECN, not the one I said. I got the acronym wrong. But yeah, so when the Spanish Navy went to them for a heavy cruiser, the design they came up with was, well, the last heavy similar to the last heavy cruiser they built. Or, more accurately, the last heavy cruiser that the companies that had a controlling stake in that industry had built. And there's every indication that Franco would have been, had the funding been available, perfectly happy to continue leveraging that relation, since technically it's the only shipbuilder in Spain that builds warships. Now, we can still buy in ships from abroad, but basically everything that if we are going to commit to naval construction, anything that's cruiser size and below, we can and should build domestically. So, in terms of capital assets, I am probably, well, since the Italians are willing to work with me, I will probably buy the designs for the Littorios minus armament. Because I'll say, look, I want to choose my own armament for those ships. And the Italians will probably be perfectly happy to accept that. That's still work in their yards building the hull of the ship. Basically ready for... Basically, as soon as I've decided on the weapon systems, basically ready to be plug and played in Spain after a voyage across the Mediterranean, under its own steam. Because we do have the cranes and the... Not dry docks, because for the level of work you're doing, you probably wouldn't have the ship dry docked, but we have the space next to a quayside for that to happen in Spain. In terms of armament, I'd probably revise the design to carry, since this is 1940, I'd probably revise the design to carry, since money does talk, I'd probably revise the design to carry 9 of the French 15-inch guns, in 3 triple turrets. For secondaries, I would go with, given their relatively small diameter in space and fitting them into the similar space occupied by Italian 6.6-inch and Italian 90mm, probably a single... given the war they've just gone through and the fact they're trying to fund their own rearmament, yeah, the Italians probably... The French probably would be willing to sell them to me. Especially if I'm willing to pay through the nose for them. And it's also a sign that, despite its changing sides, Spain is willing to work within Europe rather than isolating itself away from Europe. So then British 4.5s for the... Either British 4.5s or British 4-inch. Or it depends. Do we have domestic production for... Oh, sorry, no. Never mind. We have domestic. Spanish 4.7s. Spanish Hangul 4.7 guns in dual-purpose shielded mounts. Probably 6 twin mounts per side for a total of 24 guns. And we have 40. We already have access to 40mm and 20mm AA guns, so we'll put those on. That's the first capital ship sorted. In terms of cruisers, we need to inject new blood into Spain's light cruisers. The last new light cruisers we had arrived in the early 20s, that being the Almirante Severa class. So we really do need... Now, the Almirante Severas aren't bad. 8 6-inch guns all on the center line. But they are very much of a previous... They're not quite pre-Washington cruisers, but they're very much on the edge, since their guns are in open shielded mounts rather than turrets. But they are very much of a size that you would go, yeah, this is a Washington Treaty-era cruiser. I would basically build a... I'd probably, bearing in mind the losses suffered in the war, given that we did lose Canarius, I would probably, in our own yards, while we are obviously... What Spanish Leanders? There are no Spanish Leanders. Obviously, we've lost Blas de Lezo. Yes, I know. Funny. But
quick question, everyone. Am I the only one trying to figure out where he's getting the money for these from?
You're not the only one thinking that, but
Because this is just after Civil War Spain.
Look, I was asked to come up with a naval modernization program. I'm coming up with the naval modernization program I would like. Actually paying for it, that's probably not going to happen. But in terms of the program I'd like to build, this is what I'd like to do. And by so doing, I'm then also listing off what European nations are aiding me, or would aid me in the execution of that program if executed, thereby answering the question. So yeah. So yeah, with the loss of Balearis, I would try and either lay down a Balearis class, or with the conclusion of hostilities in the European War, and Britain absolutely basically going ham into complete reorganization and regeneration of their fleet in the aftermath of that conflict, I would probably look to buy one of the counties to replace the Los Balearis. Probably one of the older ones, since the British will probably not be willing to part with some of the newer ones. Petrington, when you say Spanish Leanders, what do you mean? Because I'm not aware of any Spanish Leanders. But yeah, so we need a ship to replace one of the two. So we need to replace we need to replace Blas de Lezo, the leadership of the class. But so again, I would suggest that we try and build up to 6 light cruisers. So I would basically just take the Almirante Severas, which are already 33 knot ships for about 7,000 ton standard, and just add a little bit extra tonnage and rework them into ships carrying 8 6-inch guns in proper turrets. And probably up their secondary battery from 4 4-inch to 6 to 8 4.7-inch open shielded mounts with a slightly heavier light AA battery. And probably lay down.
I have a very different idea on how to rebuild the fleet.
Those training ships. Those training ships that are built on the Leander hull. I am not aware of... Yeah, I'm not aware of what you're talking about.
Okay, question, Fleet.
Yep.
This is the war ends in 1940, isn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you going to the expense of making your larger cruisers domestically in Spain or Italy?
Because that will inject...
Because the British have just laid down in the year before a bunch of war build versions of Town class for a protracted war. And I would look at trying to get some of those instead of trying to build your own one in Italy.
Basically, well, first of all, I'm not building my cruisers outside of Spain because SECN will be dependent on those orders to survive in the immediate post-war period. And in the world where, within this world, I will need that domestic production. Although you have given me an idea that instead of buying a county to replace the Lost Baleares, it might be better, and you probably hit a good idea there, to either build
a crown colony.
Yeah, to either buy a crown colony, or if they're not willing to sell me one, because again, John Brown and Vickers do still own the majority share in SECN, go, hey, we want a cruiser of this displacement with this guns and this armor. There's nothing that you guys have built recently, that basically do what they did with the Canarius class. Basically build a Spanish version of a British ship.
Because even when the town class was being designed, several other countries looked at buying towns and at least domestically producing the design. So the British are willing to sell the design to you.
Yeah, well...
So you could probably get a Congo situation if you build the ship, but the British make the turbines and the guns for you.
Oh yeah,
I'd probably get it much cheaper.
I mean, that's happened with Canarius. She has Parson turbines, British main guns, and British boilers.
Yeah, I was supposed to try to figure out why we're going to the Italians.
Oh, I am literally only going to I am literally only going to the Italians for basically the ships to replace the two lost basically I need something really, really quickly. Who is building a ship that fits, or a hull, superstructure, turbines, etc., that fits with what I want? Oh, it's basically just Italy, and they're the only ones who
It's also the British.
The British, I had forgotten something that Chandler always remind me of, which is that there's a lot of bad feeling in the British shipbuilding industry after SECN was nationalised by Spain after the war. So they may not be an option for... I may be able to use some of the connections to build a derivative of a crown colony / town, because of, those connections will still be just about in place, or will be unraveling in a way that I can probably just about get an ability to do that. And also, politely, it's British arms industry. They will probably have a lot of things that they will want to sell in terms of boilers and turbines that I may be able to get away with that. But in terms of capital ships, I don't...
have to make some concessions, but consider that they were willing to sell town class to China.
That was post actual World War II. This one...
They were looking at selling a early town alike to China pre-second Sino-Chinese War.
Yes, that's true, and also let's not forget Canarius was built to the plans of the town class by SECN prior to the Spanish Civil War. But the problem we've got is it's now post-Civil War, and my great Generalissimo has just nationalised the company that they had an interest in.
Yeah, give some concessions. You'll get out of them quite happily.
I suppose.
I mean, you could even go to the British government and go, "This is a normalisation of diplomacy."
I mean, I'm not in charge. That's up to the journalists. I mean, I can give it a crack, and it's not a bad idea. But in the end of the day, it's down to good old Frankie Man, and Frankie Man may not. But it's worth a try, Fox. Though, good point.
But like, I don't want to come off as elitist, but at this point, Crown Colony is going to be better than anything the Italians will be willing to sell you.
Oh yeah, I'm literally only going to the Italians for the large hull with... I don't even want the weapons. I just want the hull and superstructure. And the fire control. I basically want a Littorio minus weapons. Because I can...
Are you going for battleships?
Because at this point, I need something to replace the lost Hispanias, something heavier than my cruisers to act as a backstop to them, which was the whole core of Spanish naval doctrine. you're supposed to be prickly enough that that yes, we can be defeated by any of the major naval powers, but it's not going to be a
Okay,
clean
cold.
fight. And for that to be maintained, we need some form of capital ship. Ideally 2. And the Littorios are not a bad bet. One, possibly 2 if I can fit it in the budget. Because I can build... I have the gun. I basically have everything I need apart from turbines and boilers to build my light cruisers domestically. Since everything on the Arma 97ers is domestic. Their main guns, their secondary guns, their anti-aircraft guns, and their torpedoes. So I can build 6-inch cruisers domestically. Excluding obviously boilers and turbines. But I don't think the Parsons, I don't think there were any I don't think Parsons or Yarrow had branches in Spain. They just sold stuff into Spain. So we should still be okay to buy things from them. Probably start off. Yeah, probably build a... Yeah, I think Fox has given me an idea. Build a single 8-gun ship to replace the one light cruiser we lost during the Civil War, and then to build back up to 3 to a 3-ship squadron. Build a probably not 12-gun, probably 10-gun. So 2 twins, 2 triples, Crown Colony / Town Light, with the emphasis on the armor protection that those ships carried, and some of the firepower, just to try and keep costs down as best we can. If anyone else has anything to add, please do so now. I'll be back in just a minute.
I forgot about the fact that he's hammering on that one question. Ooh. What's the next question? Oh, that's gonna be a fun question to answer.
Have you all finished adding what you want to add?
Yes.
Right, so we've just got time for one more question. And this is a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, so I'm hoping that the other members of the panel will be able to help. There we go. Hang on. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so this map. For those who want to look. So the question is, and the last question of the evening, you're in charge of rebuilding the Hylian Navy. Your first task is selecting 5 spots for setting up naval bases for the building and maintenance of vessels. Which places do you choose? Now, well, anything that isn't 6, 10, 8, 9, and 11 is kind of out because, well, they're the only places with access to the sea. But in terms of actually, just in terms of geography, because again, I'm not very familiar with Zelda. In fact, I don't think I've played a Zelda game in my entire life. I guess you'd pick an area that's got a road near the coast and build a small port city there in each of the zones. If any of you guys have anything to say, please.
You know, number 10 already has a village on the coast with the road connecting to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a fishing village. You don't want to put a naval base there.
No, but if you want to build where there's already one,
Hmm.
that would be the place.
That
Problem
is the only
in
place that
particular,
that's what you
this
wanna-
map is, I
This is Breath of the
believe,
Wild
based on
map.
Breath of the Wild, which is not the one I'm familiar with.
Yeah,
So I
There
don't
are
actually
so
know
many-
what these seas are like in their conditions.
There's so many different Hyrule maps. It's yeah.
I'm
I
more
will
familiar with,
regularly
like,
go through apocalypses that change the land.
yes, this is true.
Um. mm,
Well, that's not exactly useful.
Yeah, I really don't. Yeah, Is there any? I mean, apart from, I mean, obviously, I've heard of Wind Waker, so the Hylians know what boat is, but
Yes, but it's not that advanced.
yeah,
Well, the tech level,
Also,
wise, where they could
also
pretty
Wind
much
Waker.
put it
Go on.
anywhere.
Also, Wind Waker is entirely different universe to normal Zelda. Zelda has 3 main timelines, and that's off on that one, on the weird one.
Yeah.
mm,
I mean, to be fair, also, what kind of navy could Hyrule really build?
as far as I'm aware, Hyrule's the only nation on the planet, I think.
No,
Um,
there's a couple of others.
Is there?
Because
Yeah.
we are
Gerudo
We're
tribes are
from-
technically a nation.
Wow.
we're probably dealing with building wooden ships, aren't we?
Yes.
So does it really matter? Does it really truly matter where we?
If I remember correctly, Hyrule
it.
in most of the games is a pre-industrial society.
Yeah.
yes.
So we're gonna have to take a crack at it by at least Age of Sail.
Probably,
Level.
it's probably the era Fox is familiar with. You know, Carax and galleys and
No, Carracks come along because of urbanization and urban pods.
hmm.
Because especially on the Atlantic coast, it's early urbanization that creates the need for the Carrack.
What?
If
Okay.
early Carracks were massive
You just
merchant,
come down to this issue of there just isn't a lot of
You just go,
coastal
yeah.
towns.
well, it says we have to select 5, right? Well, then we
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
choose the 5 tiles where there's,
Water.
coast and stuff, as Fleet initially
Coast.
said.
Yeah.
Boring answer, but it's the one
Hey,
that...
no.
6, 8, 9, 10,
Word.
11.
flying machines do exist. Therefore, we need one in the center of the continent.
That's not a naval thing, though.
Flying
you wanna
boats,
fly
right?
a boat.
That's not whether or
Magic
not
flying boats
knows?
are a thing.
whether
Not-
on
Really?
whether or not flying warships would come under Navy control or under the form or under someone else's control is it's like with airships. Do they come under historically? Do they come under Navy control? Do they come under their own branch? Because the problem we've got is that no nations that operated airships survived long enough for that to come up.
And it's also these are sort of Peter Pan style flying warships.
Yeah, which again, really,
Again,
even so, I'd
that's
still.
not really that common of a thing in Zelda.
But it is a thing.
Only in certain timelines.
Look, I'm trying to stretch it. Okay. Okay.
I mean, the question is asking a bunch of people who aren't. Well, I can't speak for you.
I'm actually quite familiar with Zelda. That's the problem. And it's a case of, this doesn't really work.
Zelda's not really a. It's not really. It's not really.
An ocean-going concern yet.
Yeah.
It's there.
But,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't recall there being too much maritime commerce.
Isn't there massive sea monsters in this universe?
Yes. Back in a moment.
Just-
Yeah, next question. Next question.
yeah.
Let me see. That's probably... Actually, no, okay, we will finish this last question, because then it's... Because it's a fairly short, sharp question, I can answer it fairly easily. The year is 1972. What are the chances of a surface action group around the Newport News, a Des Moines-class cruiser, a couple of Fram Gearings, and 2 Forrest Sherman-class destroyers... surviving and winning an old-fashioned World War II style surface engagement with 2 Sverdlovs and 6 destroyers in screen, the 3 Kotlin and 3 Scory class. Now, I'm going to take first stab at this for a second. I do just want to check something. Right, okay. Right, okay. And then the... Oh, those poor sods. And then the next one is the... Yeah, I'm sorry. That is... Yeah, that's the US force walks away with that. With contemptuous ease. Like, you know, 2 Sverdlovs is 2 versus 1 on the cruiser side, but it's 2 Sverdlovs versus a Des Moines. And
It's monies.
the Des Moines is this is the fight it was built for.
That 8-inch turret has a stupidly high fire rate.
Yeah, it can basically put 2 turrets on one of the Sverdlovs, put it down while keeping the other one not under peacetime firing conditions with its other turret, and then switch fire once one of them is sunk. The Forrest Shermans are going to absolutely body whatever they engage. And the Fram Gearings, depending on what they are, have a 2-gun advantage over whatever they engage, despite being older ships. The Scories and the Kotlins only have 4 main guns each. And only the Kotlins have semi-auto-loading weapons. The Scories have old-fashioned guns. So do the Frams, but the Frams have 6 of them compared, depending on which Frams they are. The Fram Gearings, they should have 6 guns.
No, Fram Geary should not have 6 guns.
Depends which Fram Gearing.
Well, they should have 4.
Again, it depends which version of Fram. Because if you look, if I'll post an image, all of the ships in this image are Frammed ships. And you can see that most of them do still retain their full 5-inch gun armament. This is the problem. He would need to specify exactly which...
At least one of them doesn't.
Yes, one of them doesn't. But this
yeah, that one's the Fram 2. The Fram 1, I think, is the one that didn't throw out all the guns, but the Fram 1 isn't... I mean, sure, I guess there are more Fram 1s around than Fram 2s.
No, but, No, okay, all the Gearings that were Fram 2s, they all kept their 6 guns. Because they didn't receive ASRock. So all of the Gearings retained their 6 guns. Yeah, all the ships with 6 guns in that photo are Gearings. The one closest to the camera is actually a Fram 1. So at that point, yeah, they do have all 6 of their guns. And
Okay.
I mean, okay, basically, yeah, like I say, it's the US's fight to lose, and it's not going to lose it. Newport News is going to demolish those 2 Sverdlovs with almost contemptuous ease, unless they get very lucky. The Forrest Shermans are just going to shoot the Forrest Shermans with their fully auto-loading 5-inch guns with modern radar and fire control, and also being built as surface gun destroyers, whereas the Kotlins and Scories are weird. They're not. Yeah, they're not what I'd call. I wouldn't rate them as decent post-war destroyers. They're a little bit too small. They are gonna perhaps put up an even fight against the Frams, but the Forrest Shermans are gonna wipe the floor with them, despite being outnumbered.
I will admit, Sorry.
Go on, I'm done.
I will admit to a significant degree of confusion to the point where I had to reread this question multiple times because I was wondering how the hell a Soviet surface action group got immediately in the proximity of Newport News without anybody fucking spotting it and sending out a friendly fleet carrier to figure out, hi, why are you inside U.S. territorial waters?
Yeah.
Because when I think of Newport News, I think of the city, not the cruiser. Also, hi, the IT system at the plant hates me today.
Jesus.
Okay.
I can go into detail upon request, but carry on.
But yeah, like, I mean, I think, like, it's like this question was over the moment you put the moment you put US post-Fram destroyers and a Des Moines class cruiser into this fight. You want to give the Sverdlovs a chance? Replace the Des Moines with a Baltimore. Then they might
or even give them an Iowa or a Soyuz. Because that's what you need to deal with. It is mines.
Yeah, Newport News and the Des Moines class in general are just death to anything that isn't a full-on capital ship in gun range.
Even then, for a couple of capital ships, they're the Spectre.
Like, honestly, Newport News is one of the few gun-based combatants I would actually rate in a gunfight against a modern ship with one or two modern naval guns, just because of the rate of fire and the ability for those 8-inch guns to hit like a fucking freight train. They're one of the few ships I would actually go, I'm not sure the modern vessel's going to actually win.
Why don't use its missiles, of course.
Yeah.
Honestly, in a strict gunfight, they might have the advantage depending upon exactly what shells a modern 5-inch has got in its magazine.
Whilst I would agree with the sentiment there, I would disagree with the facts. Bear in mind if you're dropping 5-inch, even just pure HE frag, all over the superstructure of anything that isn't a full-on battleship, even a treaty cruiser or post-treaty cruiser like a Des Moines, and you're dropping, like, double-digit rounds per minute onto very, very, very accurately onto that position, the upper works are going to be gone, the radar's going to be gone, the fire control's going to be gone.
But that's the sort of damage those ships are built to take.
I did say edge, not overwhelming advantage.
Yeah.
But also, too...
You like edging.
What? If you're doing, like, a Burke, a Burke is not going to be but so happy with a lot of sustained 5-inch fire next to its Aegis radars.
True, but at that point, the goal is to survive the gunfight with guns rather than think about anything after that. But I see what you mean.
I'm checking Arleigh Burke with a volley of 8-inch shells.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's like it's not so much the it's the ability to actually match the modern 5-inch guns for range, and also hit like a fucking freight train with auto loading. That means that the Des Moines are actually capable of really taking that fight.
Also, the terminal ballistics for 8-inch is going to be a lot better.
Yeah, that's the real thing here.
In other news, I've heard a 1930s Bentley with the 4.5-liter engine into a drift car.
Why?
Because it's a really good drift car.
Because it's Forza and Fox in another life owned a Miata.
Right, anyway.
I am the Bubba of car owners.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen.
This video has been sponsored by the Micropenis Foundation. Thank you for
watching.
watching.
There is still technically 15 minutes.
Jiminy Crickets, Foxo. The only reason I can't kick you is because I'm driving.
Anyway, so thank you very much everyone for watching. I hope you've all enjoyed. Obviously, if you are a joint YouTube Twitch enjoyer, please do show up for the continuing saga of Fleet in control of the Imperial Chinese Navy. We are in between wars right now, so I'm actually trying to re-energize and reinvigorate the Chinese Navy. Specifically, we need modern light cruisers. We don't have modern light cruisers. So we need that. But yeah, if you...
Okay. No. Timu, those are fighting words. Those are pure, unadulterated fighting words.
If you want to fight him, do it elsewhere, please. I'm wrapping things up.
The Miata is the goat.
Anyway.
Somebody mute Foxo, please.
Anyway. So, thank you everyone for watching. Take care, and I will catch you all next time. Goodbye, and also thank you to Ruinon, Dragon, Moe, and Foxo for being here, without whom Ramblings just simply would not be.
And
Oh,
Dr.
the
Clark.
holy Miata!
And Dr. Clark. Goodbye.
Also, don't close the stage.
Okay, I will not
Why
close the
not?
stage.